A Paranormal Wolf Shifter Romance Audiobook Prologue. Most people would probably tell you they'd love nothing more than to find their soulmate, that one person destined to adore them forever, with whom they'd share an instant and effortless connection. It sounds ideal, doesn't it? But is it really? Is being essentially forced by some external power to love one person above all others truly romantic? I disliked the concept, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one. Though in the end, that's all it used to be in my eyes, a concept, a vague romantic notion from the movies. Nothing tangible, and definitely not an idea I believed in. Just like I didn't believe in wolf shifters either. I hadn't even considered that should soulmates be real, and should I, of all people, find mine, he might not even want me. And even though that is precisely what happened, it turns out being rejected by your soulmate isn't even the worst part. Because what they don't tell you about soulmate bonds is that they can kill you. This is the story of how I found that out the hard way. How did I get here? The last thing I know, I was leaving a club after getting into an awful fight with my friend Chloe. And now I'm in an empty corridor, alone. Everything is still and eerily quiet. If it wasn't for the sound of the rain pouring outside, you'd think I'd stepped into another dimension. There's a door at the end of the hallway. I feel compelled to reach it. I can't explain it. It's like my body's seeking something my mind doesn't yet comprehend. I slip inside a dark, quiet room dimly lit by the moon, which casts a soft, ethereal glow through the large bay window. My eyes slowly adjust to the darkness, and I realize I'm standing in a bedroom with high ceilings and wooden floors. And there in the bed lies a figure, a man, half covered by a tangled mess of sheets. His chest is bare, rising gently with each breath. Even in sleep, there's a strength to him. His features, cast in the soft lunar light, reveal a rugged handsomeness that feels familiar yet utterly captivating. Who is this man? What is he doing here? Wait, more importantly, what am I doing here? Shouldn't I do the sensible thing and leave? Something holds me in place, and I find myself walking toward the bed instead, heart racing as I try to make out the man's features through the darkness. When I do, I can't believe my eyes. I know this man. In fact, I loathe him with every fiber of my being. He's my university professor, and he is the most conceited, demeaning kind of gorgeous but nevertheless self-satisfied jerk I've ever met in my entire life. No man had ever made me feel as small and insignificant as he did on the day we met. And this is coming from someone whose father left when she was 5. We met on a cold but sunny winter morning. I was just recently back on campus for my holiday break when I met up with my friend Chloe. "Did you have a nice time with your family?" Emma asked as we were heading into our university's main building. I'm sure I would have if I had one," replied dismissively. "I'm sorry, are you guys not close?" Chloe's big blue eyes filled with a compassion I didn't want. "Stop that. I don't feel sorry for myself, and neither should you. The question is, why do you look so chipper?" "I thought you were spending your holidays cooped up with your boyfriend." "I really wish you'd try to know him better. I know he's not your cup of tea." "But," I snorted at that. He was the type of guy who believed women couldn't do anything on their own, especially not Chloe, who he saw as his property. I had no idea what she was doing with him when it was so obvious the guy made her miserable. "I told you before, Emma. Nate and I are destined to be together. He's your soulmate. I know, you've said." We entered the university building, blissfully unaware that I was seconds away from losing my dignity. Chloe focused on her whole soulmate voodoo thing in her mind. She had no choice but to be with this person who kept hurting her because it was supposedly, and I quote, "meant to be." I just don't see how the universe could pick someone like that for you, Chloe. You deserve to be happy. I stopped mid-sentence as I was handed back the term paper I'd submitted in F. I gasped in horror. There must be some kind of mistake. Maybe the teacher figured out you copied your paper from Ted, Chloe teased. I rolled my eyes. "Please, Chloe. Barnes is so old he instantly forgets what he reads. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. This is an outrage." "About that, Emma. Barnes is not." "Don't move. I won't be long," I told my friend, running off. "Emma." I didn't listen and ran off toward Dr. Barnes's office, prepared to unleash a tirade on that old fossilized relic. He was known to be a very easy grader, which was why I decided to enroll in his class in the first place. Why else would I ever sit through lectures about archaeology? I banged on his door in an effort to assert myself. "Come in," a stern voice echoed through the door. Focused on building up my arguments, I didn't notice it sounded nothing like Dr. Barnes's, and barged into his office, freezing in my tracks when I realized it wasn't him sitting behind the desk. Instead of a receding hairline and a long white beard, I found myself staring at the light brown hair and well-defined jawline of a 30-something young man I'd never seen before in my life. "Yes," the stranger asked without looking up from the mess of papers on his desk. You're not Dr. Barnes," I stammered, rather accusingly. An astute observation. He had to take a sudden leave due to health issues. "I'm Dr. Sachs. I'll be substituting for the remainder of the year." "Oh," I replied, feeling rather dumbfounded. He finally decided to look up from his stack of papers, his thundering gray eyes locking onto mine for a brief moment. I forgot the purpose of my visit, struck by the effortless authority that seemed to radiate from him. "And you are?" he asked, raising an expectant eyebrow. I hurried toward him with renewed purpose. "Emma Pierce," I answer, handing him my term paper. "I'm here because there must have been a mistake with my last grade." Dr. Sachs sounded highly dubious, his tone throwing me off a little. His tone and the mocking look he was sending my way. I scratched my throat before bravely trudging on. "Yes, Barnes must have made a mistake because," Dr. Sachs interrupted, grabbing my paper out of my hands to give it a disdainful glance. "You're the student who cheated." "I didn't cheat," I exclaimed, outraged. "Well, seeing how you handed in the exact same work as a Mr. Ted Davis, I'd say one of you definitely cheated, wouldn't you?" I gaped at him at a loss for words as Dr. Sachs continued. "As of now, you've both got fails. How should the person who copied come forward, I'd be willing to rectify the original paper's grade." He seemed sincere with the opportunity he was presenting me with. Someone could get away with a better grade here. There was only one thing left for me to do. It was Ted. Ted totally copied me. Sachs couldn't have looked less impressed. "No, he didn't," he scoffed, handing me back my paper. "You're dismissed." "Dismissed? What about my grade?" I protested, waving my paper around. "This is going to significantly lower my GPA." "There's a rather easy way you could improve your grade, Ella," Dr. Sachs said, sinking back into his chair, a ghost of a smirk playing on his lips as if he found my indignation amusing. "It's Emma," I snapped, crossing my arms. "And what do you mean by an easy way to improve my grade?" "I would think that's rather obvious, don't you?" The air between us grew heavy, his gaze laden with implication catching mine. I was at a loss for words for a moment. Surely, he hadn't meant what I thought he meant. He wouldn't make a pass at me, would he? But then again, his words were inviting, his tone downright suggestive. And seeing the way he was looking at me like he was inches away from pulling me onto his lap and making me pay for my impertinence, my breath caught in my throat. My mind began to race. I wondered what he had in store for me exactly. Would he content himself with just a kiss? The idea of his lips crashing onto mine sent a shiver down my spine. But he didn't seem like the type of man who'd be satisfied with a simple kiss. He'd probably pin me to his desk. "Miss?" Dr. Sachs asked, looking somewhat confused. I scratched my throat, hoping to hide my anticipation. I didn't want to look too enthusiastic. He was blackmailing me after all. "Fine," I said, putting my bag down. "Where do you want me?" Sachs's expression remained perfectly impassive, though his body tensed slightly. What do you want?" I batted my eyelashes at him. "Or shall I just get down on my knees?" Dr. Sachs's eyes widened in disbelief, and then he slightly recoiled. "I meant doing extra credit a chance to redo the assignment." I felt my heart sink into my stomach from sheer embarrassment. Had I really gotten it wrong? I would have loved nothing more than for the ground to swallow me whole, but I couldn't let it show. "Redo the assignment," I scoffed. "I'm not about to redo something I already spent hours on." I raised my nose in the air, satisfied by Dr. Sachs's stunned expression. "You're too good for extra credit. Yet you offer yourself up to any random stranger?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. I clenched my jaw, feeling my face flush in anger. I hated how he made that sound like I was something cheap and easily disposable. "Well, it would have been way less time-consuming," I replied, feigning indifference. "Get out of my office," Dr. Sachs snapped, his jaw clenched. That about summed up how he and I met. In the months that followed, my relationship with Dr. Sachs didn't improve much, though my grades did. There was no way I was going to let that arrogant prick have the satisfaction of looking down on me ever again. He'd made me feel so small and insignificant. Now I rejoiced in the reluctant looks he'd give me every time he was forced to hand me back a successful test, though he made a point of always getting my name wrong. Yes, Mildred, you have a question. Passable work today? Rita. Anybody know Emma Pierce? There was no way he didn't remember who I was by this point. That jerk was doing it on purpose. All this to say, the man and I do not get along. This is why being in his room now and in the middle of the night no less feels downright illicit. Never mind how I even got there in the first place. Why I haven't made myself scarce yet, that's the real mystery. I'm unable to tear my eyes away from him, like a new unspoken connection is bridging the gap between us. How can someone so aggravating in the light of day evoke such a storm of warm emotions in me now? I jolt at that last thought and step back, my breath catching in my throat as the realization of what I'm doing and feeling slowly sinks in. What exactly is happening here? For some unknown reason, I'm in my university professor's room, watching him sleep instead of getting out of there before getting caught. Also, I'm trying to figure out how I even got into his house when I don't even know where he lives. The last thing I remember, I'd convinced Chloe to come out with me. We were supposed to go dancing together. Had we gone? Why can't I remember? Unfortunately, light floods the bedroom, and I hear footsteps coming my way. If I get caught here, I'm dead. The sheer humiliation will likely kill me. I dodge behind a curtain just as someone bursts into the room. It's a tall, beautiful woman with long red hair, wearing a light silk robe. "Har, wake up," she says urgently. Dr. Sachs immediately sits up in bed, looking remarkably composed for someone who had just been asleep. "Viv, what's wrong?" I briefly wonder if Viv is this woman's actual name. Sachs actually bothered remembering before focusing again. It's Chloe. She needs help. They're not talking about my Chloe, are they? Why would she need any help from Dr. Sachs of all people? I watch them exit the room before slipping out myself, though not before glimpsing into the hallway to make sure I'm alone. Slowly, I make my way toward the voices I can hear arguing further ahead. Down the hall. I'm led to the top of a large wooden staircase. At the bottom, I see Chloe collapsed on her knees, tears streaming down her face. What's going on with her? Did her boyfriend do something? He's close beside her, an angry scowl etched on his face. What happened? Dr. Sachs asks, placing a hand on Chloe's back. I blink in surprise. Are they actually acquainted? But if so, why hadn't Chloe ever mentioned it? Nate mutters reluctant. It's her friend. His fists are clenched as though he's been denied something precious. You know, the one she met in class. The small, obnoxious brunette who talks too much. Dr. Sachs's head snaps up. You mean Emma? Ah, he knows my name. But suddenly, he looks pale, though maybe it's just the light. My thoughts are interrupted by a piercing scream. Chloe is now panting against the floor, her face contorted in pain. The redhead beside her frowns deeply. Harry, she's going to turn, she says urgently. Turn. What does that mean? What's wrong with Chloe? Before I can step out of my hiding place, Dr. Sachs lifts Chloe into his arms and starts walking away. Hey, where are you going? Chloe's my mate, her boyfriend protests, trailing after them, but the redhead Viv grabs him firmly by the arm. Enough. Only Harry can help her now, you know this. Her tone brooks no argument. She turns to Nate. Tell me what happened. I already did, Viv. She's in shock because her friend had an accident. An accident? Wait, are they still talking about me? What kind of accident? Viv gives Nate a pointed look. She got hit by a car on her way out of the club she and Chloe were at. Don't look at me like that, I had nothing to do with it. Hit by a car? That can't be true. I'd remember if I'd been in an accident, wouldn't I? A vague impression of fear surfaces, a distant sound of yelling, rain pouring down as I drag Chloe onto the street. It echoes in my mind, fragmented and surreal. I'm too confused to stay hidden any longer. Embarrassment be damned, I need answers. I emerge from my hiding spot and make my way downstairs. Look, I don't know what Nate's deal is, but I obviously wasn't in any accident. As you can see, I'm right here, doing just fine, I say, cutting off their conversation. But neither Nate nor Viv acknowledges me. They continue talking as though I'm not even there. Rude much. I'm right here, I insist. waving my hand in front of Nate's face. Still nothing. Neither of them reacts, not even a flicker of recognition. It's unnerving, like they can't see or hear me at all. Things take a terrifying turn when I try to grab Nate's shoulder to force his attention. My hand passes through him as though he's made of air. Stunned, I freeze in place. Am I dreaming? "Let's go wait in the living room," Viv says, her voice calm but firm. The sound seems to reach me from miles away, and I feel like I can't breathe. What is happening to me? I throw myself in front of them, trying to block their path, but they pass through me as if I'm nothing more than a wisp of smoke. Their bodies are chillingly insubstantial as they intersect with mine, and it's as though they never touched me at all. I can't stay here any longer. I need to find someone, anyone who can explain what's happening. Questions swirl in my mind, each one fueling my growing terror. My feet carry me outside the mansion, its vastness giving way to the wilder scenery of the woods bordering the property. Without thinking, I begin to run straight ahead, not daring to look back. Inside the forest, the branches seem to reach out to me in an eerie dance of shadows and moonlight. The cold night air doesn't register on my skin, and the ground beneath my feet feels non-existent. I am moving, yes, but it's as if I'm floating untethered from the earth. Like I'm there but not. My heart races, pounding against my rib cage. Am I dead? Is this some sort of limbo, a place between worlds where I'm doomed to wander alone? The thought brings a fresh wave of anguish that threatens to swallow me whole. What will I do if no one else can see me either? Tears stream down my face as the weight of my situation settles in. I've never felt so alone in my life. Will I ever feel the warmth of a hug, or see someone smile at me again? How can I find my way back from this? Will I wake up to discover this was all a nightmare? Yet, deep down, I know this feels too real to be a dream. I close my eyes, trying to think about my next move. I should go to my dorm room on campus and start from there. Raising to my feet, I take a step forward, only to find that each new stride is more draining than the last. It feels like I'm underwater, fighting against an invisible current pushing back with every effort I make to advance. And then, for a brief instant, there's a tug, and it feels like I'm falling off a ledge, pulled by gravity. The forest around me dissolves into the dimly lit confines of a familiar bedroom, the same one I had left just an hour ago. My heart skips a beat, not just from the sudden change in scenery, but from the sight before me. Dr. Sachs, fully awake this time, pinned down on his bed by a half-naked brunette. 1,000 thoughts cross my mind at once. How did I get here? And who is this woman straddling him? Her lips locked onto his. The urge to push her off makes me lose focus for a moment. I must have been staring far too long, though it's not like they'll ever notice. Still, the scene unfolds in vivid detail. Her breath hitches as his lips brush against her neck. I have a much prettier neck, I think bitterly, feeling desperate. It might just be my imagination, but something about her enjoyment seems forced, or perhaps he isn't as invested as she is. A smirk tugs at my lips despite myself. He may have rejected my advances, but Dr. Sachs would undoubtedly be far more vocal if he were with me. But as his guest's hand slips below the waistband of his pants, and pleasure washes over his face, it hits me like a gut punch. I try to steady myself, drawing in a deep breath only to exhale audibly. But my attempt at composure shatters when Dr. Sachs's head jerks up. His eyes lock onto mine, wide with an expression I've never seen before. My chest tightens. He can't actually see me, can he? The thought alone is mortifying. What if he could? Oh God. Dr. Sachs's head snaps up again and he pales. Disbelief, stupor, and perhaps even a flicker of relief cross his features. Could he actually be happy to see me? "What are you doing here?" he blurts out, moving so abruptly away from his lover that she tumbles onto the bed with a cry he barely registers. For a moment, I'm too stunned to speak. After everything, the confusion, the isolation, it turns out he can see me. A wave of relief crashes over me, so strong I could kiss him. But my words catch in my throat, and I stammer, unsure where to begin. You see, Before I can continue, his girlfriend, who had been glancing in my direction with confusion, turns to him, her brow furrowed. "Harry," she says hesitantly, "Chloe mentioned you were in some kind of accident. Was that a joke?" Her accusation leaves me reeling. What am I supposed to say? I don't have answers. Maybe I'm in shock, I wouldn't know. Yet here he is, demanding explanations as though I owe him one. "Emma," his tone gratingly expectant, "what happened?" I don't know, I snap back, frustration bubbling over. I don't remember anything. Just waking up here. I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to recall the last thing before this moment, but there's only darkness, a void filled with fear. I remember running, my heart pounding in my ears, someone's hand gripping mine. Close, I think so. I think Chloe and I went out. I start haltingly, but something went wrong. And suddenly I was in your room. Dr. Sachs looks utterly dumbfounded, but I push on. Vivian came in saying something about needing help. Not important, he cuts me off, his patience fraying. Well, next thing I know, Chloe's crying. Her boyfriend's calling me obnoxious, and then I throw my hands up dramatically, mimicking the scene for emphasis. Whoosh! Right through me. Sax's blank stare, my reenactment isn't landing. To be fair, it is a lot to process. Still, I'd argue I'm handling it better than he is. I open my mouth to call him out when his glare silences me. Do you have any idea how worried Chloe was? He demands. Fists clenched as if he's restraining himself from throttling me. Yes, actually, I retort sharply. Because if you'd been listening to anything I just said, you'd know she thought I was dead. And now you're telling me you were there this whole time? Why didn't anyone tell me? Dr. Sachs looks absolutely livid. Didn't you say anything? I shrug, exasperated. I just told you I tried, but no one could see me before. It looks like you're the only one who can. This is ridiculous. Just go, Harry, Dr. Sachs mutters, waving a hand in front of his eyes. Jesley, intrude much. I snap, annoyed. But she doesn't register my presence, staring intently at Dr. Sachs instead. Who are you talking to? She asks. What do you... To her, he says, pointing toward me. His girlfriend looks at him like he's grown a second head, which is kind of hilarious. See, I told you she can't see me, I say. Crossing my arms, his face shifts from doubt to shock, something akin to horrified realization dawning in his eyes. He shakes his head, probably involuntarily. I'd almost pity him if he wasn't such a gigantic jerk. Look, Zoe, I hate to do this, but you're going to have to go, Dr. Sachs attempts, trying to convince his lady friend that he's not insane but needs to be alone. It takes a while, but once she's gone, he finally deigns to look at me again. Well, I ask, crossing my arms expectantly, do you believe me now? I can't believe he even doubted me for a second when I'm the picture of honesty. He better come up with the best apology of his entire life. I need a drink, he groaned, looking around his bedroom like a waiter is suddenly going to appear out of nowhere. Oh, well, yippee for you, I reply sarcastically. Shall I make you a freaking margarita? Why would I want a margarita? He gives me an incredulous look. They're awful. Who cares, Dr. Sachs? I'm a ghost. I literally go through people, and you're the only one who can help me. What am I supposed to do? I don't know, you're the one with the fancy degree here. Figure it out. I can't stay like this. I'll die of boredom. Hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but you're probably already dead, Dr. Sachs replies, looking more troubled over the fact than I thought he'd be. This gives me pause for a moment. Am I dead? Is this it for me? I can't be, feeling slightly desperate. I've got loads of important things I still need to do. Like what? Dr. Sachs gives me an amused, concerned look. Well, for starters, I'm supposed to go to a Taylor Swift concert next month. A concert? Really? He rolls his eyes. I sigh, contemplating the tragedy that is my fate. Why is it that only Dr. Sachs, out of all people, is the one who can see me? He is the literal worst, and he can't stand me. Wait, he can't stand me. That's good. I can work with that. Well, Dr. Sachs, you're going to have to learn how to raise people from the dead, because if you don't, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your days. Starting now. I scratch my throat and begin to sing a beautiful rendition of Wildest Dreams, which Dr. Sachs doesn't seem to appreciate. Stop it. So you'll help me then? I ask with a toothy grin, hoping it annoys him to death. I'll try. Now get out of my room. What? I blink at him in shock. In the morning, he interrupts, rolling his eyes. In the middle of the night, I'm not tired. Well, I am. But Dr. Sachs replies with a dismissive gesture toward the door. What am I supposed to do in the meantime? I pout. I don't care, as long as you don't do it here. Good night. On that note, he slams his door in my face, which feels unnecessarily dramatic since I could easily walk back through it. But Dr. Sachs said he'd help me. And for now, he's my best chance at figuring this out, so better not antagonize him any further tonight. Since I don't need to sleep, I roam the halls of Dofker. Sachs's enormous home for a while before deciding to make more use of this free time. Earlier, when I'd tried to go back to the dorms, I'd been transported back into the house. What was that about? Am I tied to this place for some reason? I want to find out. I make my way downstairs, encountering a man and a little girl as I pass the kitchen. They don't seem to notice me either. What did we say about sneaking off at night? The man teases. He looks too young to be the girl's father, which probably explains the joking tone. Besides, looking at the pair more carefully, it's clear they aren't related. The man is blonde with clear blue eyes, someone who could play a Viking in some historical romance, while the girl's deep brown eyes and dark locks would stand out like a sore thumb amongst Nordics. Whatever. You sneak out all the time, the girl retorts. Yeah, well, I'm allowed. I'm an adult barely. Mentally, you're 12, she mutters. Yeah, but mentally, Harry's like a gazillion years old. So what does he know? The man puts his arm around the girl's shoulder. She looks a little nervous now. You won't tell him I went out, right, Jake? The man, Jake, pretends to think about it. Tell you what, I won't tell Harry, but if I catch you one more time, I'll tell Vivian. What? But she already hates me. She does not. She just has a resting ein bisp, undespe face. I wonder just how many people live in this house as I watch the pair climb up the stairs out of her shot. I make a mental note to ask Dr. Sachs about it later and head outside. I take my time walking around the house, its structure even more imposing than I'd previously thought, with its ivy-covered stone walls and dark-looking windows that speak of an age long past. Its proximity to the forest adds to the otherworldly feel of the property. Though it's an impressive estate, I don't notice anything particularly unusual during my exploration save for a couple of tombstones hidden a little further down the path between the house and the woods. Some seem quite old, but a more recent one made of lighter stone catches my attention. The engravings read, Cassandra Harrow, beloved sister, wife, and mother. Below hers another name reads, Sebastian Sachs. Underneath that, a small inscription in gold letters, True Mates. I frown. While the woman's name doesn't ring any bells, the man is likely related to Dr. Sachs. That isn't what intrigues me, though. My eyes linger on the word mates. It's nothing I've ever read on a tombstone before, but something about it stirs a strange familiarity within me. Every family has its own pet names and quirks. After covering most of the grounds to confirm the place was completely isolated, I head back into the forest. I must have been walking for about 20 minutes when that strange, tugging sensation returns, and once again, the forest melts away into Dr. Sachs's bedroom. This time, instead of reappearing by his desk, I find myself lying on his bed stunned. How is it that sometimes I pass through objects like doors and other times I don't? The weight of the mattress presses against my back, but all thoughts vanish when I realize how close I am to Dr. Sachs's sleeping face. I jump in surprise, momentarily forgetting he'd naturally be here in his bed. Why do I keep ending up in his room? Does the universe want me to watch him sleep or something? He looks far more agreeable asleep, I think, until he suddenly shifts, moving his arm so that his hand lands right on top of mine. I blink dumbly, feeling the heat of his skin seep into mine. Our hands are touching, actually in contact. Dr. Sachs, I exclaim, not daring to move or look away from this small miracle. Dr. Sachs, wake up, I urge. He stirs slowly, blinking awake. His gray eyes meet mine, and for a moment, he gives me a surprisingly soft look that makes me forget everything else. He really is quite beautiful, with extraordinary dark gray eyes. But then, his expression hardens. What the hell are you doing in my bed? He mutters, sounding more like himself. I don't care, though I'm too excited. Look, I say. Grabbing onto his fingers. Get out of my room, he says tersely. Later. After waiting for him to emerge hours later, he looks unfairly good for someone who didn't get nearly enough sleep. We discuss our next steps. Well, he discusses while I desperately try to make contact with him again, to no avail. I'll head to the nearest hospital, he says. They'll probably have some information about your accident. He glances over his shoulder to ensure nobody's around. Why isn't it working? I cry out as my hand passes through his arm for the 5th time. Maybe I can only touch your hand. Dr. Sachs, give me your hand. Will you stop? The man snaps, moving away. Give it to me or I'm singing, I warn. Oh, for the love of fine. He extends his hand. I try to grab onto him, but my fingers dissolve around his and I feel an icy drift pulling me away. Why isn't it working? It did before. Damn Marion, he says, smirking. If I'd known you wanted to hold my hand this badly, I would have given it to you a long time ago. I glare at disappointment giving way to familiar aggravation. It has nothing to do with your hand, and stop calling me weird names. What now, Eileen? He asks mockingly. I grind my teeth but trail after him anyway, fighting the urge to smack him. I don't think I can leave your house, I explain once we reach his car. Every time I try, I'm transported right back. Back to your bedroom, you mean. You can't come with me. What a shame. A pleased smile spread across his lips. There's something seriously wrong with this man, for not only disdaining Taylor Swift, but also my delightful company. I give him the finger as he drives off before returning inside. I want to check on Chloe, even though I don't know where to find her. I look around a couple of rooms, including an office and a gigantic library, before making my way to what seems to be the dining room. To my surprise, 10 different people are sitting around the widespread table for breakfast. Among them are Nate, Jake from the night before, the girl Max, and Vivian. "Where's Harry?" Nate says as the redhead makes her way to the table. "He won't be joining us this morning. Please eat." I notice everyone had been staring silently at their plates until they all pick up their forks at the same time after being told to do so. "What's he up to anyway?" "It's Sunday, he doesn't have class," Jake asks, helping himself to some bacon that looks unfairly delicious. Vivian shrugs, taking a sip of orange juice. "He's gone into town to check on one of his students." "Really?" Jake drops a piece of bacon. "She pretty. She's Chloe's friend." Vivian scowls but then schools her features into a more neutral expression. "I wouldn't know." "You'd have to ask Chloe. Is Chloe okay?" "She'll be fine," Max says. Jake pats her on the head. "Then why isn't she eating with us?" "Sunday is family brunch day." "Family brunch. So, are all these people family? Does that make Harry and Chloe family?" She never once mentioned that little detail to me before. "It's all that bitch's fault." Nate suddenly bangs the table, making everyone jump including me. "I told Chloe not to get close to some human." "Nate, that's enough." "But you agree, right?" Nate says, looking around the table. "There's a reason we keep amongst ourselves. Harry said it was okay for her to make friends." "I want to make normal friends." I'm confused. Why wouldn't she be able to make friends? Maybe she's being homeschooled or something, but what does she mean by normal? Jake looks like he's about to reply when I feel a familiar tug pulling at me, and the living room snaps out of view to reveal a busy parking lot. The sound of an ambulance in the distance tells me the massive building by my right must be the hospital. Why am I here? "Renee, what are you doing here?" A familiar voice comes up from behind me. "I thought you were supposed to stay at the house." Dr. Sachs walks over to me, looking really aggravated. It isn't my reply, feeling defensive. I don't decide where I go. I pause, thinking back on the conversation I just witnessed. "So, Dr. Sachs, what's up with your weird family?" He stops in his tracks, startled. "Have you been roaming around?" "Well, what did you expect? That I stay in your room?" "Yes, actually. You spent a suspicious amount of time there." I roll my eyes. "Are you in, like, a cult or something?" I ask, changing the subject. "Are you the cult leader?" "Of course not." Weirdly enough, the man seems to relax, like he was expecting something far worse. Expecting me to accuse him of something worse. He's hiding something, though he doesn't give me any room to ask more questions. He heads straight for the hospital's main entrance. "You coming or what?" Anticipation builds inside me. Am I about to find out what's happening to me? After dark, Sachs makes some inquiries at the front desk. We're taken through a long, deserted corridor lit with bright artificial lights into a small room with only one bed. There, hooked onto different machines that seem to beep aimlessly, is my prone form lying unconscious. She has multiple fractures, but most importantly, a severe head injury. What they're saying seems subdued, like I'm hearing it from underwater. It feels strange to watch myself lie there in a hospital bed, a literal out-of-body experience. My mind has trouble processing, especially with how awful my body looks, bruised and beaten. "Do we know when she's going to wake up?" Dr. Sachs asks, sounding grim. I wonder if he's worried about me or at the prospect of being stuck with me for all eternity. It's hard to say for now. Could be days, weeks, but she will wake up eventually, right? We don't know that for sure. I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear this anymore. Yet I can't seem to make myself move. The nurse must exit the room at some point, though I can't say when that is for certain. My face looks eerily swollen and kind of bluish. It's an awful thing to watch, yet I can't seem to look away. I'm sorry, Emma. Dr. Sack's voice brings me back into focus. I open my mouth, ready to snap at him. But his sincere expression startles me. He looks worried and perhaps even a little sad for me. The doctors will know more in a couple of days. You can't lose hope yet. I let out a disheartened laugh. Do they know what happened to me? Just that you were hit by a car. The driver's been arrested. He says this coldly, though I can tell his ire is not directed at me for once. His gaze makes me feel self-conscious. I can't help it. Tears begin to stream down my face. Dr. Sachs makes his way over to me, clearly uncomfortable, though I can't blame him. This isn't over. We'll figure something out. I nod stubbornly, avoiding his gaze. I don't want him to notice the tears, which is stupid because he probably has. Somehow, meeting his eyes now when I'm feeling so lost and alone feels like it's too much. I haven't cried since I was 8, and my mom left me alone on my birthday to go on a last-minute trip with her latest boyfriend, who I can't even remember the name of. Was it Sam? No, Sam came later. Anyway, I don't want Dr. Sachs to think I cry easily because I don't. Would you like me to call someone for you? I hear him ask through the rush of blood in my ears. It takes a second for me to process his question. Call someone. Why, I ask, shrugging my shoulders in confusion. Well, a family member maybe. He suggests, like it's a rather obvious thing to think of. Your mother, he adds. Call my mother. What a strange idea. Though I guess his family seems friendlier than mine, so I guess he'd probably want them to know if he'd been in an accident. Nah, I laugh, a short, hollow sound. I haven't spoken to her in years. Oh, Sax's expression shifts into something complicated. And your father? Not in the picture. He probes gently. Well, what about an aunt? Or look, no need to list the entire damn tree here. I explain quietly, I don't have a family. I see, Dr. Sachs nods, his face free of visible judgment or pity. A boyfriend, perhaps. Nope. A friend. Chloe's my only real friend, and she already knows. The quasi-total absence of anybody meaningful being part of my life hits me like a ton of bricks. Guess it takes falling into a coma to realize you're all alone in the world. Well, that's not entirely true, I've always known. I just didn't think I cared much. Yeah, so I guess no one will miss me. I give Dr. Sachs a tight, tearful smile. Something flickers across his eyes as they meet mine again, something I can't quite name. That's not true, he protests. I mean, we would. He scratches his throat nervously. Chloe would miss you. She'd miss a small aunt, I joke, though there's little joy behind it. There's a small silence before Dr. Sachs suddenly confesses, I'd miss you. My breath hitches, and then there's no holding back my tears any longer. They flood out of my eyes like a dam has burst, and with them comes a strange sense of relief. Dr. Sachs looks momentarily panicked at the sight, but without thinking, he moves to place a comforting hand on my shoulder. It feels warm and solid against my skin. Oh, I exclaim through my tears. It's happening again, he says, sounding relieved. And then he pulls me toward him, wrapping his arms around me. I feel alive again, pressed against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. I don't know how long this lasts, and I'm not proud of it, but I seize the opportunity to cry into his shirt. Who knows when I'll be able to receive physical comfort next? Dr. Sachs gets a call a little while later, interrupting, well, our hug, I guess. It dawns on me that I've been letting my college professor hold me for the last 10 minutes, and perhaps that means something. Sure, I felt distressed, and he's the only person here for me right now, but I'm not usually this tactile. Yet I have to admit, I may have really enjoyed being in his arms. Maybe he's not as annoying as I thought he was. All right, Margaret, we have to go, he says abruptly, stepping away. No, wait, we can't leave, I protest, following him into the hallway. Dr. Sachs holds up a finger. He pulls out his phone again, pretending to talk through it while addressing me. You know, you can call me Harry. My name is Harry. I gasp, secretly pleased. And you can't leave. The doctors are supposed to give you more information about me. Ever heard of phones? Something's come up. I'm needed elsewhere. I'm outraged. If he receives news about my health over the phone, I won't be able to hear what the doctors have to say directly. And maybe he's not as bad as I thought, but I'm not about to entrust Harry Holds key information about my well-being. I haven't relied on anyone since leaving home at 16, and I'm not about to start now. Oh, I'm sorry, is your girlfriend feeling lonely? I ask sarcastically. We're in the parking lot now, and Harry is walking decisively toward his car, undeterred by my protests. No, actually, it's whoever just called you. Surely they aren't brain dead, I interrupt, stomping my feet. Can we please focus on what's important? You mean youth? Harry deadpans as he gets into his car. I follow him inside. Well, yes, actually. I'm right. Surely the gravity of my situation takes precedence over anything else going on in your life. I know this may seem hard to believe, Joanna, but the world doesn't revolve around you. Okay, can we address the real issue here? Harry sends me a sidelong glance. The real issue. I know you don't like me very much, but this isn't about me liking you or not, he grits out through his teeth. So you agree you don't like me? You are incredibly childish. I'm childish, I ask, raising my voice. I've been trying to remain calm and rational, but he makes that near impossible. You've been antagonizing me since the day we met. What? You're the one who's always arguing with me because you're an insufferable prick. And you're a selfish brat. Our eyes meet briefly, and I freeze, my heart picking up speed in my chest. Instead of their usual gray, for a brief moment, I could have sworn Harry's eyes turned gold-bright, dangerous gold that glows behind my eyelids even now as I try to catch my breath. Emma, what's wrong? Harry asks a little grudgingly. I ignore him. This unusual golden color, I've seen it before. I'm sure of it. I remember dangerous eyes fixing on me, hands coming at me, and an inhuman growl. It was the night of the accident at the club. I'd gone to the bathroom with Chloe when her boyfriend cornered us. That's right, I remember now. Nate was there. He was angry with Chloe, calling her a bunch of awful names. I got angry, pushed him off her, and then he grabbed my arm, but his fingers, they had claws. His eyes turned to this terrifying shade of gold. I gasp. I remember Nate growling at me, his head snapping, and then he began to change. His bones were breaking. Fur grew on his skin. I grabbed Chloe's hand and pulled her behind me. I couldn't believe what I'd seen, thinking someone must have spiked our drinks. I'm calling the police, I remember rambling as we exited the club. We need help. But Chloe was grabbing me, begging me not to. You saw him. Right, I asked her, panicked. There was something wrong with him. It's like he was some kind of animal or something. Chloe began to cry, arguing no one would believe me. But it's not just me, Chloe. You saw him too, right? He's dangerous. She shook her head, her eyes filled with fear and sorrow. I didn't see anything. She was going to deny it, protect Nate, despite what she'd seen. I was so shocked I took a step back. Emma, Harry shouted, snapping me out of my trance. I jerk away from him, even though there's very little he can do to me while driving. Nate, Chloe, Harry, they're all in on it, aren't they? Harry's eyes flashed gold too. Does that mean? I gulp, not daring to meet his eyes. Are you a werewolf? Harry and I sit in silence as he drives us to wherever we're going, him gripping the wheel, jaw clenched, and me staring blankly into space. I feel almost stupid for asking my question now. He must think I'm insane. It sounds insane. Werewolves don't actually exist outside the realm of books or films. Though, I guess until recently that's what I thought about ghosts as well, until I turned into one. Yes, Harry says, eyes fixed on the road. I blink, unsure what he means, until I realize he's answering my question. Yes, I ask, just to make sure. Yes, Harry confirms with a small nod, tone blank. Right. So, he's a werewolf. That's cool, I'm fine with that. This isn't weird. And what about Nate? I ask in a small voice. Him too, Chloe, Vivian, all of them. Harry gives me an annoyed glance. Let's just assume all the people you've seen around my home are wolves. Meaning you can all turn into wolves. Actual wolves. I snap, my mouth shut, stunned. This is crazy. How is this my life? 2 days ago I was still a normal, albeit brilliant student, debutable, shut. I'm thinking out loud. Right. So now I'm a ghost and the only person who can see me is a werewolf. We don't actually use that term, I mutter, still thinking aloud. Sorry, wolf shifter, whatever the term is, and so is Nate. I exclaim, suddenly remembering how this whole realization came to me in the first place. I remembered my accident and who had inadvertently caused it. It was none other than Nate. He attacked Chloe and me and began to transform in front of my eyes. I panicked. And Nate did what? Harry barked, sounding murderous. I don't feel intimidated, though. I know his anger isn't aimed at me. He attacked us, I repeat as the images come back to me. He was threatening Chloe, and when I interfered, he became more and more aggressive and started to turn. Harry grips the wheel even tighter than before. That's expressly forbidden, he grinds out between his teeth. By who, I ask curiously. I didn't know werewolves had laws. To be fair, a minute ago I didn't even know they existed. By me, Harry replies. Like this is a perfectly ordinary answer. Oh, so you're like some big wolf boss. I joke, but Harry's dead serious as he answers me. They're supposed to report it if something like that occurs. I knew something was wrong, but Chloe's dead set on protecting him. Though, I interrupt, annoyed. I can't believe her. It's like he can do no wrong in her eyes. Whatever he does, it's always. You don't understand, Harry cuts in. Emma, Nate, and I are soulmates. I sigh all the hurt I felt when my friend had once again chosen her awful lover over me, and herself coming back to mind. I'm not defending her actions, Harry says somewhat reluctantly, but you must understand, it's difficult to go against a soulmate bond. Chloe must be torn apart. I didn't realize this bad. I wait searching his expression for any trace of humor but find none. Are you saying this is real as well, the whole soulmate thing? Harry nods. Finding one's mate is quite rare, but once formed, the bond is considered sacred by our kind. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I've got so many questions. So, if it's not immediate upon meeting, how does it form? Typically, once you recognize your soulmate, you'd give them a bite mark to settle the bond. How romantic, I comment sarcastically. Harry smirks. Chloe could explain all of this better, but the bond supposedly binds the souls together on a spiritual level, which explains why they'd both be protective of each other. Except in Nate's case, I argue, picturing all the times I've seen him boss Chloe around. He isn't being protective, he's being controlling. Yes, I suppose a bond doesn't change someone's nature. I sigh. The universe has essentially doomed Chloe with a psycho. This whole mate thing sounds like one big scam to me, being tied down to someone you didn't choose for the rest of your life, having no agency on who you love. That sounds awful. I pause, then blurt out, "Wait, do you have a soulmate?" Immediately, I regret it. It's none of my business if he does, and it's not like I care. Why did I even ask him that? I bite my lip nervously, something I haven't done in years. I guess, Harry replies dismissively. Though, there's very little chance I'll ever meet them. As I mentioned, finding one's fated mate is incredibly rare. We tend to choose our mates instead. I let out the unconscious breath I'd been holding, oddly relieved for reasons I'm not going to think about now if ever. Thankfully, Harry doesn't notice. If Nate attacked, that gives me grounds to banish him from our pack, something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. You could do that, kick him out. I could, and I willed. But since Chloe's his mate, she'd be inclined to go with him. I gasp. Until now, Chloe and Nate have been living with Harry and the rest of their pack, which, from what I gathered, has its own set of rules. They all live together, so if something were to happen, Chloe'd be protected. But if she'd be on her own with him, I conclude, disheartened, this can't happen. Isolated with someone who's always bringing her down and intent on keeping her locked up, Chloe would wither away. I wish I could do something to help, but is there really no way to break this bond? Chloe or Nate would have to reject the other as their mate, Harry explains, making a turn as the car arrives into town. But it's unlikely to happen. Rejecting one's mate is incredibly painful for a wolf. The rare ones who do rarely survive the separation. But it can be done, I insist, trying to focus on the positive. We just have to convince her, I say. We'll need to convince her not to make a bigger mistake first, Harry says somberly as he parks his car. Grimwood is a small, touristy town built close to the university campus. I'd often been encouraged to go visit, and if there's in fact a quaint charm to it, cobblestone streets line the area, giving it an old-world feel. The streets and boutiques blur past as I take in my surroundings, too nervous to fully appreciate them. Beside me, Harry scans the area, searching for someone, not just anyone, but my best friend. So, what are we stopping Chloe from doing? I ask, curiosity getting the better of me. He doesn't respond, so I begin looking around myself. It isn't long before I spot her slight frame exiting a bookstore. I point her out, following Harry as he moves to intercept her. Chloe looks terrible pale with dark circles under her red-rimmed eyes that weren't there before. Despite this, she seems determined, even defiant when she notices Harry approaching. "You're too late," she tells him, raising her chin stubbornly. Harry doesn't look impressed. "Tell me you didn't." "I did," she admits. "I requested a meeting with her." "So you haven't spoken yet?" Harry asks, relief evident in his voice. "No, but I will tomorrow. It's decided." "You will not," Harry growls, his tone commanding a side of him I've only rarely seen. "You have nothing to bargain with." Chloe deflates slightly at his words. "What happened to Emma was my fault. I'll fix it. I don't care what it takes." Her concern touches me, though I still have no idea what's going on. Who is she supposed to be seeing? Not like this. It's too dangerous. Chloe, if not for you, Emma wouldn't have gotten hurt. You put her in danger. It's only fair you get her out of this by making a deal. I don't think so. You have no idea what you're getting into with that witch. A witch. So now there are witches too. What's next phase? If she can save Emma, I don't care what it costs, Chloe insists. And what if it costs Emma herself? Harry counters, crossing his arms. Witches don't offer fair deals. You don't know the consequences or who will pay them. Chloe's expression crumbles, along with the small hope I'd felt upon hearing she might have found a way to help. But then Harry speaks again, surprising me. I could try speaking with the witch instead. I'm taken aback. After all his warnings about how dangerous these deals are, why would he step in, unless he's eager to get rid of me? It's not like he enjoys having me around all the time. And while I might not be thrilled about our situation either, the thought offends me. How dare he? I'm a delight. I have something she'll be interested in, Harry continues. Chloe looks thoughtful but shakes her head. Why don't you let me do it? I don't want to get you in trouble. Harry, not only is all of this my fault, but the pack needs you. Harry places his hands firmly on her shoulders. You're under my responsibility, Chloe. Though clearly unhappy, she reluctantly nods in agreement. Well, I guess we're meeting a witch then. That should be interesting. With nothing left to do in town, we all head back home. During the car ride, Harry and I agree not to tell Chloe about my ghost situation. She already feels guilty enough about what's happening. At first, I'm unconvinced this is the right call, but eventually, I see his reasoning. Harry argues this could make her unstable. Chloe started to turn when she was pinceted, which is rather late. She's always had trouble managing her powers, though she's been doing much better. But with everything that's happened lately, we should keep her out of this for now. I don't want to add to Chloe's plate, but I would have liked to let her know I didn't blame her for my accident. Once we arrive home, it feels natural to follow her to her bedroom to make sure she's okay. She stays in there for a good hour, staring into space while looking small and miserable. I would have left, except it feels too much like abandoning her. I try talking to her and even touching her, but nothing works. It seems whatever ability Harry has isn't a general wolf thing. Hopefully, the witch will be able to tell us more. I just hope nothing bad happens to Harry in the process. As my thoughts drift towards him, something strange occurs. Even though I haven't seen him in an hour, and don't have the faintest idea what he's currently doing, I suddenly have the startling sensation that I know exactly how he's feeling, namely angry. Tension coils in my chest, a reflection of his own emotions. The source of his ire is a mystery to me, though it's directed at someone, that much is clear. A sudden rush of protectiveness swells within me, and the next thing I know, I'm standing in Harry's bedroom. He's currently busy giving Vivian a hardened stare. Her rigid posture and the tension in the room make it clear they're arguing. I thought we agreed Chloe shouldn't go to that witch, and now you're telling me you're planning on going instead. Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? Vivian's voice cuts through the tension, sharp and demanding. Ronan couldn't have been more clear about her, Vivian, Harry insists, looking worried. He told us many, many times over not to go anywhere near her. I know, but just look at what happened to your mother, Viv. Harry snaps, sending her a betrayed look. I know, all right. His shoulders sag in defeat, and my heart twitches uncomfortably at the sight. I shift my feet, my body itching to move and reach him, but to do what I'm not sure. Vivian is looking at Harry somewhat worriedly, but then she squares her shoulders and schools her expression resolutely. You can't keep doing this, Harry. You're the alpha. Your decisions affect all of us. It occurs to me that despite all Harry's already told me, I barely know what being part of a pack entails. I don't even have a family. My whole life, my actions only affected me, but it's not the same for him. You've made your point, Harry says quietly. But if I don't go, Chloe will. She would never go against a direct order from you. You don't know that, and besides, she'd resent me. Emma's important to her or to you. Harry looks taken aback. Meanwhile, I'm holding on to his next words like a lifeline. Could I be somewhat, maybe a little important to him? It seems ridiculous to even entertain the idea. A couple of days ago, he was nothing more than my aggravating college professor. Who I was. Certain people couldn't stand me. She may be Chloe's friend, but she isn't one of us. This Emma, she's not your responsibility. Nate attacked her. This makes Vivian go quiet for a minute. We should have banished him. He's unhinged. I know, but Chloe would go with him, and we can't have that. I still don't like this. But I guess if Nate's the one who caused the girl harm, then she'll just have to be careful. Harry, we can't afford to be divided. And on that note, she takes her leave. Once she's gone, Harry sags into a nearby chair, his anger abated, replaced with wariness. I take it you heard all that, he says, making me jump. I hadn't realized he was aware of my presence. Not everything, I protest, a little embarrassed. I approach him slowly. He doesn't look angry at me for listening in. If anything, he looks almost happy to see me, which is strange because people aren't usually happy to see me. So I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Who's this Ronan guy Vivian mentioned? I ask. Harry, our previous alpha and my uncle. He had to retire somewhat early. But he lives close by with his mate. I want to ask him about what Vivian meant when she said his uncle had warned Harry many times over about the witch. But that seems like a sensitive topic. To my surprise, Harry offers up more information anyway, without me having to ask. We're quite close. He practically raised me himself for most of my life. What about your parents? I ask, immediately regretting it when I see Harry clench his jaw. They're dead, he says with a grim smile. I think back on the tombstone I'd seen amongst the grounds on my first night here. I'm sorry, I tell him, wanting very much to grab onto his hand, though I don't dare give it a try. It was a long time ago, Harry replies, though it's obvious he's still hurting over the fact. My heart begins to pound against my chest, but I force myself to continue. Was it because of the witch? Harry's shoulders tense. No, he says firmly, but Vivian said it was because of me. Harry explains in a tone that makes it clear he won't talk about this any further. Because of him. What does he mean by that? I'm sure that's not true. Of course, I'd like nothing more than to ask for more information, but it's not my place to pry. Besides, Harry hadn't questioned me about my shitty family history before, and I'd appreciated that, so the least I can do is not to insist. I consider my next words carefully. Are you sure this witch plan is a good idea, though? Vivian didn't seem to think so. I feel bad, things are obviously difficult for him. Helping me out is starting to cause tension between him and his. Who is Vivian to him, anyway? Are you two a thing? I ask as a thought crosses my mind. Harry's piercing eyes snap to my face. Vivian, she's my beta, my second-in-command, if you will, he adds before I can ask him to explain. Even though he hasn't properly answered my question. I'm looking for a way to pry without being too obvious. I don't want him to think I'm interested in his love life because I'm not. But I do feel like I'm entitled to know. Because, well, we're not romantically involved. If that's what you're wondering. Good. I sigh in relief but quickly snap my mouth shut when Harry's surprised expression makes me realize what I just said. I scramble for words, flustered. It would be weird, right, if I were to teleport into your room while you two were busy. Harry lets out a surprised laugh, the kind I've never heard from him before. It transforms, making him look boyishly charming and leaving me momentarily breathless. I'd appreciate it more if I weren't so mortified. You know what I mean, I mutter, scowling as I look away. Sure, Harry says, amusement still lacing his voice. Good thing I'm not too busy then. I manage to glance back at him. His gaze is soft, warm like that time he woke up to find me in his bed. My heart flutters uncomfortably. Maybe he does care about me a little, I catch myself thinking. Or maybe that's just wishful thinking. Ever since meeting him, I've always craved his attention. I just hadn't realized how much I hoped for his affection, too. I clear my throat awkwardly. Vivian was unhappy with the plan. Harry frowns, all traces of mirth vanishing. Don't worry about it. She's just being protective. It'll be fine. But will it? If Harry was so worried about letting Chloe see the witch, shouldn't he also worry about himself? Still, I ask hesitantly. You'll be okay. Right. I mean, I know you're eager to get rid of me and all, but Emma... Harry interrupts my rambling, stepping closer with a concerned expression. It's going to be all right. Do you trust me? Our eyes meet, his penetrating gaze making me feel strangely secure. Yes, I say, realizing it's true. He's standing mere inches away, towering over me. I wonder idly if he could touch me right now if he tried. My fingers twitch involuntarily. Good, he says with a smirk. And for the record, I'm not overly eager to get rid of you. Oh, I reply lamely. It's just, it would be nice if you could have your body back, you know. Why wouldn't it be? Well, he teases lightly, we wouldn't want you walking in on me getting busy. Before I can stop myself, I aim to smack him, but he intercepts, catching my wrist. The warmth of his skin against mine burns pleasantly. You're touching me again, I comment, staring at his lips, unfairly beautiful lips. I think distractedly. Out of nowhere, there's a knock on Harry's door. Hey, buddy, Jakey's voice sing-songs through the wood. You busy? Go away. Jake, Harry snaps without taking his eyes off me. For a moment, I'm certain he's going to kiss me. He looks like he wants to. Yeah, no, that's cool, Jake replies, oblivious. It's just I was gonna take the kids hunting. It's been a while, and well, they're more manageable with you around. Harry closes his eyes briefly, looking exasperated. Fine, he mutters with a sigh. He squeezes my hand before letting go, casting me a slightly regretful glance. So, I venture nervously after a pause. Are you and this Jake guy a thing? I joke, and Harry rolls his eyes at me, but he's laughing again, so I don't let it bother me. A week goes by before we hear from the witch, and for lack of anything better to do, I spend those 7 days tailing Harry everywhere he goes. His days are a blend of academia and pack leadership, leaving him little time for himself. At the university, he's the stern, articulate professor I've always known. His lectures imbued with a passion I'd been too irritated to fully appreciate before. At home, Harry is constantly solving one conflict or another, whether within his pack or with other wolves settled in the near vicinity. I come to learn that wolves start to display supernatural abilities during childhood and spend the rest of their lives resisting the urge to succumb to their more primal side. After witnessing a couple of kids transform in the middle of dinner, I realize just how crucial Harry's role is in keeping everyone's aggressive instincts in check. How do you make them obey like that? I once asked Harry during a short, rare moment when we found ourselves alone. What do you mean? He replied, sounding genuinely curious. I knew him well enough by then to see he really had no idea what I meant, so I pressed on. Come on. 1 minute there's a horde of kids screaming at the top of their lungs like savages. The next they're picture still because you simply said stop. I've babysat before, you know, that doesn't normally happen. Harry laughed. It's because they're wolves, and I'm their alpha. If I ask them something, it's in their nature to obey me. I was stunned silent for a moment. Does that work on adult wolves too? Yes, for the most part. Wolves recognize authority and feel compelled to abide by it on instinct. So if I say something, there's a strong compulsion to obey even for adults. That said, loyalty and trust go both ways. If I abuse my authority, my pack could turn against me. He says that, but I doubt his pack would ever turn against him. His commanding presence affects everyone around him, which I find disturbing at first, well aware such power could easily be abused. But Harry would never. He sees his pack as family. Over time, I come to appreciate their warm dynamic. What is this thing you do? I later ask Harry after seeing him rub his wrist on one of the kids' arms. It was the first time I'd seen Harry do it. But I'd noticed other wolves practicing the same habit during my stay. They'd rub their wrists, or sometimes their noses over another pack member's body, which struck me as weird, though they all seemed to somewhat enjoy it. It's called scent marking, Harry explained very seriously, though I couldn't help but laugh. What? I asked, incredulous. Harry laughed along with me, aware that this probably sounded strange to me, a human who'd never heard of it before. To us, scent is very important, he explained patiently. Their scent can tell us a lot about another person, what they're like, how they feel. This struck me silent. You can tell how other people feel, somewhat. It's not like mind reading, but someone's scent can help us read each other's general mood. If someone is very angry, for example, their scent would reflect that anger. What do I smell like? I'd asked, feeling nervous as I awaited the answer. I hadn't expected Harry to look so genuinely troubled when he replied, "You've lost your scent. Ever since you became a ghost, you don't smell like anything. It's like you're not really there." I wasn't sure how to feel about that. On one hand, I was somewhat relieved he couldn't guess any of my emotions from my scent. But it also felt like there was something essential to him that I couldn't give, and that bothered me. Well, what did I used to smell like? You know, before. A faint blush grazed Harry's cheekbones, though I noticed it immediately. Oh God, did that mean he'd smelled the attraction I once had for him? He scratched his throat awkwardly before continuing. Scent marking someone means leaving your own scent on them. It's meant to be comforting, though it can come across as possessive, so it's only accepted in specific contexts. An adult might do it to children they're close to, family members, or trusted packmates, but not to other adults. Between adults, it's reserved for mates. Wearing someone's scent essentially means you belong to them, he added. So you wouldn't let just anyone do it to you. I thought about this for a moment. If another wolf scent marked me, could you smell it on me? I asked for confirmation, though I hadn't been prepared for how Harry suddenly tensed at my words. His expression darkened with an emotion I couldn't name. No other wolf would ever, he snapped, cutting himself off abruptly. Our discussion ended then, interrupted by someone from the pack needing Harry's attention. That's how most of our conversations always ended, cut short by the demands of being part of a pack. Being part of the pack feels overwhelming sometimes. It's like you're never truly alone. At first, I wasn't sure I'd enjoy it. But as time goes by and I get to know everyone better from afar, I find myself commenting silently on the children's progress, reacting to the teenagers' antics, and wishing I could chime in on the adults' discussions, whether serious or laid back. But no one hears me except Harry, and he barely has time for himself, let alone for a ghost girl he hadn't even liked much to begin with. Still, I catch myself wishing he had time for me. Our car rides to the university quickly become the highlight of my day's stolen moments, where I try to make him laugh while he pretends it doesn't work. He starts taking increasingly longer routes to stretch out our time together, and I want to take that as a sign that he sees me as more than just another supernatural obligation, that maybe I genuinely matter to him. But the more time passes, the more absurd that seems. He's not interested in me, not like that. The way he's concerned for me, it's the same as how he is with everyone else. It's practically in his nature. In the evenings, I find myself wanting to follow him to his bedroom, but he never explicitly asks, and I don't dare say anything either. What's the point? What future could there even be for us? It's not like he'd want one with me. He lives for his obligations. And he belongs with someone who can share the weight of his responsibilities, someone who can ease the burden he carries of watching over everyone else. I could never be that person. I've never looked after anyone but myself in my entire life. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Amid all this confusion, I do receive some good news. My doctor contacts Harry and explains they'll be operating on me, which should speed up my recovery. The surgery goes well, and I start to hope we might not even need to meet with the witch. I might wake up before then. But by the day of the meeting, it still hasn't happened. Which is why we're now back in Grimwood, standing in front of the bookstore where we'd found Kalu a week ago. I'd feel better if you waited outside, Harry grumbles as he opens the door to the shop. You know I'd just end up popping next to you even if I tried staying behind, I reply. Harry mutters something under his breath about how he suspects I do it on purpose when a strange-looking man interrupts us. He's in his bêtises with a long, sickly face, though it's his eyes vacant, expressionless voids that draw my attention. She's waiting for you in the back, he says in a toneless voice. We walk through the dark, dusty shop, so quiet that all we hear are Harry's footsteps echoing through the small space. We step behind a blue curtain, which must have seen better days, and stop in our tracks at what lies beyond. We're outside in a wide, flowery field bathed in the warm, fiery glow of sunset. Despite it being closer to midday mere minutes ago. The sight is breathtaking, but there's an undercurrent of wrongness I can't quite place. It's not just that it feels like we've traveled far from the bookstore in an instant. There's something unsettling about this deceptive serenity. Something lurking beneath the surface. We hear the witch laugh before we see her. In the blink of an eye, Harry finds himself seated at a table set for tea, and across from him sits a beautiful woman with strawberry blonde hair, young-looking if not for the ageless depth of her bright blue eyes. She crosses her hands under her chin, giving him a blank stare. "You don't look like a Chloe," she says, lips stretched into a smile. Harry hands over a small box to the witch. She opens it unhurriedly, taking a careful look inside. I'm not sure what it contains, but whatever it is makes her frown. "You're Cassandra Hargrove's son," she says, eyeing Harry carefully. He nods, his face impassive, though I can tell he's feeling tense. "She's dead," Harry interrupts, his tone leaving no room for discussion. The witch studies him carefully. She doesn't look sorry exactly, but there's something unreadable in her gaze. There's a flicker of something behind her eyes. "Your mother was quite remarkable, so I've heard," the witch says, slowly taking another look inside the box. "What would you like in exchange?" "Information." The witch's gaze snaps to where I'm standing by Harry's chair. "About the spirit you have with you," she begins, and my heartbeat quickens. But it's her next words that shock me into silence. "It appears your spirit's time is almost up," she tells Harry with a serene smile. I sense a sudden tension coil within him, though he doesn't let it show openly. "What do you mean?" The witch drops a cube of sugar into her cup, twirling it around with a spoon. "It looks like your spirit has been separated from its body for too long," she comments with a shrug. "It's withering away, and soon it will be gone forever." Harry asks the witch more questions, but there's ringing in my ears preventing me from understanding what they're saying. Could this be true? Am I going to disappear? And when? Will I go anywhere, or will I just be gone? These questions keep swirling in my mind as my anxiety grows into full-blown panic. Instinctively, I reach for Harry's arm, holding on to him like he's the anchor keeping me alive. "What are you doing?" The witch interposes, sounding surprised. I realize she's now looking straight at me. "You'll drain yourself out even quicker manifesting like this." "What do you mean by manifesting?" Harry asks warily. The witch sends him a bored look. "Your friend is here in spirit form, her soul lingering away from her body. A soul isn't meant to have a corporal form, so when she manifests one, she's essentially burning away her soul faster, like a burning candle." Harry pales, letting go of my hand. My fingers feel freezing outside of his. "How does it work exactly?" The witch seems amused. "From what she tells me, it's not something she can control." She replies evasively. "It's all a matter of motivation. Should she want it hard enough, she'll manage to reach the physical plane. Though, like I said, I'd restrain myself from now if I were her. She won't last very long at this rate." Hearing the word motivation, I think back to all the times I'd managed to manifest, as the witch calls it. The first time was when I'd touched Harry's hand. The second, when he'd hugged me at the hospital. The third, when I thought he would kiss me. So this was essentially me wanting to touch him. I glance his way as he asks for more details, brows furrowed in a stern expression I might have mocked a week ago, but which only seems endearing to me now. "How do we get her soul back into her body?" "Well," the witch muses, "would have to figure out how it got away in the first place. Emma was in an accident." The witch doesn't reply immediately. Instead, she watches Harry pensively, her eyes drifting toward me once in a while. When someone is stuck between life and death, their soul tends to linger around their body. But hers hasn't. Instead, it attached itself to you. "To me?" Harry asks in a strangled voice. "Well, yes," she confirms. "She follows you everywhere, doesn't she?" "Your wolf should know a thing or two about why souls connect." I frown in confusion. What does she mean by that? Does Harry know something I don't? I watch his face shift from shock to a grim expression that unsettles me. He's troubled by something, but I have no idea what. The defeat in his eyes makes my stomach churn. Does it mean I'm done for? I want to ask, but the witch rises from her chair, gesturing for us to leave. Harry ignores her. lost in thought. Don't pout, handsome. It hasn't fully set yet. Make sure it doesn't, and she should reunite with her body once it's healed, if it heals, that is. Now, I think I've said more than enough in exchange for this little trinket. She tucks the object Harry brought her into the pocket of her long skirt, gives us a small wave, and snaps her fingers. The next moment, we're sitting inside Harry's car outside the bookshop, midday light streaming brightly through the windowpane. I'm too stunned to speak. Questions and feelings swirl inside me, but I can't form anything coherent. I turn to Harry, expecting him to fill in the blanks, or at least say something vaguely encouraging about my predicament. Instead, he keeps his gaze ahead, starts the engine, and drives us home without uttering a word. By evening, my thoughts feel a little more ordered. After reconsidering what the witch told us, I've concluded things aren't as bad as I initially thought. She did say my soul would return to my body once it was healed. Right now, my body is recuperating from surgery that supposedly went well, so there's good reason to hope I'll wake up soon. Maybe by tomorrow or in a couple of days I'll be back to my old self again, albeit a bit more bruised and beaten than I'd like. Nothing time won't fix. So why is Harry taking this news so hard? He clenched his jaw during the entire car ride home, not saying a single word to me. At the time, I didn't think much of it. But now, hours later, it bothers me that we still haven't spoken. I follow him around the house, confused by the tension radiating off him in waves, and try multiple times to get his attention. Yet Harry seems busier than I've ever seen him, constantly surrounded by others. His gaze stubbornly fixed on anything but me. This avoidance makes interaction impossible. After waiting patiently for an hour that stretches into 3, it becomes clear this isn't just bad luck, he's deliberately avoiding me. I watch from the sidelines, feeling invisible, overwhelmed by the same sense of abandonment I felt growing up with a mother who barely looked at me. It hurt then, and it hurts now. If I weren't so angry at myself for opening up to disappointment again, I'd probably cry. Screw Harry for making me trust him only to push me away for no reason. I give up trying to stay by his side. I decide to hide in different corners of the house, staying close enough that I won't accidentally teleport next to him, but far enough to avoid his line of sight. The absence of his impossibly beautiful face, now cold and distant, brings me slight relief, though not much. It's past dinner time, and people are beginning to retire for the night. Even my anger is fading, leaving behind only confusion. Why would Harry suddenly avoid me after everything he's done to help me? Memories of his kind smiles and soothing words flood my mind traitorously, making me wonder if I've overacted. A familiar tug pulls at me, urging me toward him as it always does, but pride and fear keeps me rooted where I am. If I stay away, I can convince myself that his aloof behavior was just in my head. Another rejection tonight feels unbearable. Still, I can't stop wondering what he's doing now. Grading papers, surely he isn't sleeping yet. Closing my eyes, emotions not my own rise within me, a painful mix of tension and sorrow. Gasping in surprise, I realize how distraught Harry feels. A stronger pull overtakes me, like he's calling without words, but I resist. He hurt my feelings earlier. There's no way I'll go running back. At least, that's what I tell myself for another hour before erupting from my hiding spot, weak-willed fool that I am. Screw pride, he's miserable, and despite everything, I care too much to let him suffer alone. I instinctively know where to find him. His weighted emotions act as a beacon even through the faint haze clouding them. Is he about to fall asleep? Hurrying into the living room, I see him mid-conversation with Vivian. Of course she'd be there, ever present as always. Sprawled in an old leather chair, glass of alcohol in hand, he looks more disheveled than usual. It's clearly not his first drink. Her hand rests casually on his knee, a gesture I could never make, and they whisper privately, unaware or uncaring of anything else around them. Naturally, I retreat to a corner to listen. Are you sure? Vivian asks, her voice laced with concern. Nope. I'm sure, Harry replies bitterly before downing the rest of his drink. When he reaches for the bottle again, Vivian snatches it away, her expression worried. Well, she begins cautiously, isn't that good news? Harry laughs humorlessly, leaning back in his chair. How so? Vivian hesitates, watching him closely as he closes his eyes with a tired sigh. After a moment, she speaks softly. Surely finding one's soulmate is something to be happy about. Confusion washes over me. What is she talking about? Harry stiffens immediately, snapping an eye open. Why would I be happy about having Emma as a soulmate? It's disaster. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Could this be true? Am I Harry's soulmate? I think back on what the witch had told us earlier, and suddenly her words begin to make sense. I can't believe I hadn't realized until now. She essentially said our souls were attached. And Harry, a werewolf who knows all about soulmates, should have recognized the situation for what it was. Ever since waking up, I've been glued to his side. I can more or less read his emotions. He's the only one who can see me. Oh my God. Tears begin to stream down my face. Is this why he's been avoiding me? Because I'm his soulmate and he doesn't want me. So this Emma, she's been around this whole time. Is she here now? Vivian asks, curious. No, Harry mutters. She's upset with me. He rubs a tired hand over his face. Probably for the best. A sense of dread overcomes me at his words. My entire being feels like it's been drenched in ice. A shiver runs down my spine. I'm so cold. I don't want to stay here anymore. I flee from my hiding spot, too distraught to care if I get seen. Although I don't think Harry notices through the haze of alcohol. And even if he did, it's not like he'd care. He doesn't want me around. No one ever does. The next day, I remain stubbornly hidden in a corner of Chloe's room, praying the bond won't drag me to Harry's side while he drives to university. The last thing I want is to be stuck alone with him in a confined space so he can butcher what's left of my poor heart with the sheer force of his indifference. Despite the growing pull, I manage to hold it off long enough for it to happen once he's entering his morning lecture. I breathe a sigh of relief, heading to the back of his class to linger behind a group of students as they settle into their seats, hoping they'll hide me from view should Harry choose to look this way. Damn, what's wrong with Dr. Sachs? He looks rough, one of them says, starting up his computer. He looks hungover, another adds. More you think someone died. A girl, maybe. Don't be stupid. No one this attractive gets dumped. This is your chance, Laura. Go heal his broken heart. The girl, Laura, blushes stupidly, making me roll my eyes. I'd love to tell her that if she's into emotionally unavailable men bound to break her heart, then sure, Harry's a great pick, except I can't. Not only can she not hear me, but most importantly, that wouldn't even be true. Harry is perfect. I'm the one who's lacking. Worst soulmate in the world, apparently. Completely unlovable. My mood slightly improves as Chloe arrives, taking a seat a few rows behind me, though not without sending Harry a curious look which quickly turns into one of concern. I don't know what she's concerned about. He'll be just fine once I wake up and get out of his life forever. Harry begins his lecture, though it completely lacks the enthusiasm he usually displays. I sneak a glance at him and have to admit, he does look pretty. Distraught, tired, and with something heavy hanging in the air around him, probably the horror of having me for a mate. I'm viciously hoping his hangover gives him a world of pain. That thought barely registers when I notice Chloe tensing in her seat. She's discreetly looking at her phone, and I recognize that face. It's the one she makes when Nate is being difficult. I've seen it many times before. Chloe texts him back, but not even a minute later. She's staring worriedly at her phone again, biting her lip. Then she practically jumps out of her seat and hurries toward the exit, where none other than Nate is waiting. A furious expression on his face. What is he doing here? He says something I can't hear, then grabs her by the arm, pulling her after him with a ferocity I don't like. Without thinking, I get up to run after them, apprehension twisting my stomach. I don't trust Nate with her, not for a second. However, I stop dead in my tracks when I notice the entire room has gone silent. What's with the awkward break? Oh no, I slowly turn to the front of the lecture hall where, sure enough, Harry is watching me with a dumbfounded expression. I don't know what to make of it. Our eyes meet, and it feels like all the air is being pushed out of my lungs even though I don't even need to breathe. Why is he looking at me like that? Well, don't stop on my account. I sneer defensively before resuming my exit, head held high. I ignore how the obvious surprise he displays hurts my soul and run out into the hall, searching for Chloe's blonde head. Luckily, I see her and Nate take a turn and disappear inside a bathroom. I hurry in after them. I told you not to come in today. Nate sneers at Chloe as I slip inside unnoticed. Why is it so hard for you to understand? Chloe tries to wiggle free of his hold. And I told you I need space. Space. What for? You're my mate, Chloe. The only thing you should need is me. I scoff in anger. This guy is insufferable, treating Chloe like she's his property. Her being his mate is no excuse. You heard Emma, Chloe snaps, finally removing her arm from his grip. This isn't something I can just ignore. Ever since meeting her, you've been treating me like crap. She's a bad influence on you, if you ask me. It's a good thing that car managed. Chilu interrupts his sentence with a loud slap against his cheek, her eyes wide as she realizes what she's done. She opens her mouth in shock, but Nate doesn't let her speak. He slaps her back with all his strength, making her fall to the ground with a cry of pain. I scream as he raises his arm again, like he's about to hit her harder. Without a thought, I jump onto his back, holding his arm back with all my strength as I bite violently into his ear. Leave Chloe alone, I scream as a confused Nate tries to wiggle out of my grasp. I hit the ground with a grunt, catching Chloe's horrified expression as I do so. Emma, she whispers, eyes wide in shock. Chloe can see me. I reach for her. His touch featherlight against my skin. My throat feels raw, and the memory of Nate's hands around my neck comes rushing back in a suffocating wave. I try to sit up, but Harry's arm tightens around me, holding me firmly in place. Don't move, he murmurs, his voice rough with emotion. His gray eyes are intense, searching mine as if trying to gauge how much damage has been done. You scared me. I blink at him, confusion clouding my thoughts. What happened? My voice is hoarse, barely audible even to my own ears. Harry's jaw clenches, and for a moment he doesn't answer. His fingers resume their gentle path through my hair, almost like he's reassuring himself that I'm still here. Nate lost control, he finally says, his tone clipped. But it's over now. He won't hurt you again. The anger in his voice surprises me, though perhaps it shouldn't. I remember the sight of Harry throwing Nate across the room, the crack of bone against porcelain, and the way Nate crumpled like a broken doll. It had been satisfying. Yes, but now guilt begins to creep in. I'm fine, I whisper, though we both know it's a lie. My body aches, and there's a heaviness in my chest that no amount of warmth can dispel. No, you're not, Harry counters sharply. His gaze softens a fraction when he sees the flicker of hurt on my face. Emma, you stopped breathing. For a moment I thought. He trails off, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallows hard. The vulnerability in his expression makes my heart twist painfully. This isn't the Harry I'm used to, the calm, collected alpha who always seems to have all the answers. This Harry is afraid, shaken, and it's because of me. I didn't mean to, I say quietly, my words tumbling out before I can stop them. The witch warned me, but I didn't listen. I just wanted. Shish. Harry presses a finger to my lips, silencing me. You don't have to explain anything right now. Just rest. His tenderness is overwhelming, and tears prick at the corners of my eyes. I hate feeling this weak, this dependent, but there's something undeniably comforting about being held by him. His presence is steady, grounding, even as my world feels like it's crumbling apart. Why do you care so much? The question slips out before I can censor it, and I immediately regret it. Harry freezes, his hand pausing mid-stroke. When he speaks, his voice is low, tinged with something I can't quite identify. Because you matter, Emma, more than you realize. His words send a shiver down my spine. Though whether from fear or something else entirely, I'm not sure. All I know is that in this moment, wrapped in his arm, I feel safe even if only for a little while. His thumb brushes against my skin, sending a shiver through me. Are you still cold? I slowly shake my head, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. I'm enjoying being held far too much it'll hurt when it inevitably ends. Harry tucks a lock of hair behind my ear, his expression earnest and concerned, and it nearly breaks my heart. Are you sure? He asks softly. Why does he look at me like I'm something precious when I know it isn't true? Where are we? I murmur, glancing around. We're inside a bedroom that resembles his. Though there are differences, the chimney hosting a crackling fire beside the large chair we're sitting on, for one. Why are we still touching? I ask as his fingers capture mine. He pulls me closer, wrapping me in his arms, burying his face in my hair. I'm not sure where we are, he admits, but I think we can touch because none of this is real. He says it so casually, as if it's the least of his worries. Wrapped in his warmth, I almost believe him, but not quite. What do you mean it isn't real? I search his face, trying to make sense of his words. Are we dreaming? It would explain why Harry holds me here, in a place where such intimacy feels possible. I shift in his lap to face him better, straddling his waist. Only then do I realize I'm wearing nothing but a shirt. The warmth of his skin against my bare thighs makes me gulp. "Oh, sorry," I stammer, blushing furiously. "For what?" His gaze darkens as his hands glide up my thighs. A moan escapes me before I can stop it. If embarrassment lingers, it vanishes under the intensity of his stare. "Emma," he murmurs, his hands tightening on my hips. I bite my lip, fighting back a whimper desperate to escape. Are we dreaming? I manage, distracted by how close his lips are to mine. Before he can answer, I catch his chin between my fingers. "What's happening?" I whisper. But even as I ask, I remember if this is a dream, it will end soon. And I might as well sever it while it lasts. My lips meet his, and he wastes no time deepening the kiss, pulling me flush against him. My hands roam over his arms, riveling in the strength beneath my palms. I feel untamed, reckless. As he lifts me without breaking our connection, carrying us toward the bed, my legs still wrapped around him. More overwhelming than my own desire is the sudden rush of Harry's thoughts, flooding my mind as though they're my own. I can feel how much he wants me. How hard he's holding back out of fear of hurting me even now, when he's practically delirious with need after craving this moment for so long. Practically since he met me. The weight of it all threatens to consume me. His lips trailing along my neck, his teeth grazing my skin, the possessive growl rumbling in his chest. I hear his voice echo in my mind, calling me his with vivid urgency. And yet I know this isn't real. The real Harry would never feel this way about me, never touch me or think of me with such raw passion. Tears sting my eyes and I try to hold back a sob, but emotions seem to flow both ways because Harry immediately moves away. "Did I hurt you?" he asks, his eyes full of sorrow. He starts to pull further back, but I don't let him. Throwing my arms around him, I bury my face into his neck, letting the tears fall. Harry's confusion and fear only amplify my emotional outburst. "What's wrong?" he asks softly, caressing my hair. "Please tell me. What can I do?" His voice is filled with concern, and all I can do is cling to this fleeting comfort, wishing it were real. I wish it was real, I confess once my sobs have quieted. Harry lets out a frustrated little laugh. "Trust me, so do I." I shake my head. "You don't, not really." Harry pulls away to look at me, his expression searching. "What?" he asks carefully, drying my cheeks with his thumb. In that moment, I realize something. I love him. Watching him give me a soft, encouraging smile confirms that I'm so in love with him. The fantasy I've conjured up hurts even more knowing it could never be true. "I heard you the other night," I tell him, moving slightly away. Harry looks at me with confusion, which annoys me enough to continue. "You told Vivian I was your soulmate," I remind him with a pout. Harry frowns, reaching for my hand. "You are," he says carefully. "Does it bother you?" I snatch my hand away. "No, it bothers you," I say with a reproachful look. "You said it was a disaster." The memory brings fresh tears to my eyes as realization dawns on Harry's face. "Oh," he says, his expression crumbling. "Emma, I'm sorry." He pulls me into a crushing hug. "If I'd known you were there, I should have realized." He pulls away to look at me again. "Please don't cry, sweetheart. It's killing me." "Why?" I scoff disbelievingly. "You obviously—" "Emma," Harry interrupts, laughing softly, "it's not that I don't want you. Why wouldn't I? You're perfect." He brings my hands to his lips, his expression near worshipful, leaving me speechless. "My perfect, beautiful mate," he murmurs. I roll my eyes at him. "That's not what you sounded like when you were drunk." Harry has the decency to look a little embarrassed. "Emma, what I said, it wasn't for lack of love," he insists. "Love," I interrupt, feeling my heart twist inside my chest. Harry gives me a tender smile. I don't know what to think anymore. I'm so confused. He seems sincere, but he was genuinely upset the other night. What am I meant to believe? Just as I'm about to ask another question, a bright artificial light flashes before my eyes, a ceiling that looks nothing like the one in this room. "Looks like our time's running out," Harry says with a frown. "What do you mean?" I ask, feeling myself being pulled away from him. "You were fading away earlier," Harry explains, though his voice grows fainter. "But you and I have a mental connection. I tried holding onto your mind, and we ended up here." "This kind of makes sense," I murmur. "Wait, no, it doesn't." I'm still confused. I thought we weren't bonded. My mind drifts back to the witch's explanation that our connection hadn't fully set yet, or something like that. Harry looks as though he wants to say something, but before he can, I find myself lying on the cold bathroom floor of our university campus. Harry hovers over me, his pale face sagging with relief when our eyes meet. "She's waking up," he tells Chloe, who stands beside him, her expression fraught with worry. "Ask her how she feels," Harry prompts, but Chloe shoots him an affronted glare instead. "Is she still cold? Is she going to disappear?" Her voice trembles. Harry sends me an amused glance. "You heard that?" he asks slightly. I sit up quickly, excitement surging through me. "Chloe knows I'm here," I exclaim, turning to Harry. "Tell her I've got so much to tell her. She won't believe what I've been through." Harry smirks at Chloe. "She says she's been having a splendid time in my company." "I didn't say that." I protest immediately, rolling my eyes. Chloe shakes her head. "She didn't say that." But then my gaze falls on the bruise under her left eye, and it jolts me back to why we're here. "Where's Nate?" I ask, scanning the room for any sign of him. "There's none." "I kicked him out of the pack," Harry explains, exchanging a look with Chloe. A knot tightens in my stomach. "But what about Chloe? You said she'd go with him since they're mates." Harry places a hand on Chloe's arm. She straightens, her expression shifting from confusion to grim resolve. In a brave tone, she announces, "I did it, Emma. I rejected Nate as my mate. Our bond is broken. A lot happens in the days that follow, and not all of it is good. While I seem to be out of immediate danger, the same can't be said for Chloe." Her mood deteriorates rapidly, shifting from brave conviction to a hollow despair that leaves everyone deeply concerned. Harry and Vivian reach out to a healer from another pack, someone experienced with cases of broken bonds. The diagnosis isn't everything we hoped for, but there's hope. "It might not look like it right now," the healer explains after seeing Chloe, "but trust me, she's doing fine given the circumstances. She's the one who rejected the bond freely, which significantly raises her chances of overcoming the separation. It'll take time for her mood to improve, but she'll get there. Severing a mating bond is no small feat, though I don't learn much more about it beyond the fact that Chloe is holding on for now. When I visit her with Harry, she puts on a brave face, but she looks pale and shaken, her eyes always teetering on the edge of tears. Seeing her this way breaks my heart, but I don't regret Nate's departure, not after how violent he became toward her. Meanwhile, updates come in from my doctors. They admit that while my surgery went perfectly and my body seems to be healing well, the fact that I haven't fully regained consciousness remains troubling. The doctors are baffled, unsure of what to make of it. Though they remain optimistic, I become certain something is wrong. I feel it in my gut I should have woken up by now. Strangely, I haven't. Sometimes I sense something calling to me. A peculiar awareness tugging at the edges of my consciousness. The rhythmic beeping of machines and the sharp, sterile scent of hospital soap enter me briefly, as if I am on the verge of opening my eyes. But then, a pull yanks me away, drawing me back to Harry's side. His presence is warm, inviting. Familiar, a thread binding me to him that refuses to release me back into my body, back where I belong. After evading the thought for days, worry takes hold as the witch's warning echoes in my mind. She implied I would wake up if our bond didn't set. What if it had? What if this connection is what keeps me tethered here, unable to return? I share my fears with Harry, half expecting him to dismiss them. Instead, he looks at me with resignation etched across his features. "I think you're right," he says quietly. There's no other explanation. Panic flares within me. Does this mean I'm doomed to wander like this forever, a ghost without hope? I don't want this existence. I want my body back to eat, to touch, to comfort Chloe in person. My gaze meets Harry's sorrowful one. We haven't spoken properly since our time together, and my dream, a moment I still question was real or imagined. Did he truly stand beside me then? Or was he merely a figment of my longing? I can't bring myself to consider whether he feels the same way about me. The possibility of rejection looms too large, especially when even being near him seems impossible. The memory of his touch haunts me, his warmth, his strength, all tantalizingly out of reach. Pushing down the ache, I blurt out, "I think you should try rejecting the bond." Harry falls silent, his eyes distant. If he says no, I tell myself I won't push further. If he says no, it will mean he wants me around, that maybe there's still a chance for us. But if he agrees, My heart clenches at the thought. "All right," Harry murmurs, not meeting my gaze. "I'll do it." His words leave me stunned, torn between hope that I might awaken and despair at the confirmation of what I feared. He doesn't love me. He wants me gone. He straightens, steeling himself to sever the bond. Just as he begins to speak, an image flashes before me, Chloe, pale and quiet in her room. "Wait," I say hesitantly. Harry's unreadable gaze locks onto mine, offering no insight into his emotions. You'll be fine, right?" The concern in my voice betrays me, but I can't help it. He offers a small, reassuring smile. "Of course," he says gently. "Emma, you'll be fine." Harry nodded slowly, his face still impassive. "Besides, we've been bonded for 2 minutes," I added, my voice wavering. "And it's not like it's something you wanted." Harry looked away, scratching his throat. He wet his lips before speaking, his tone blank. Harry." He hesitated, shoulders slumping as if the weight of the words drained him. "Reject you, Emma, as my mate." I considered saying something when the familiar tug at my core began stronger this time. Surely it was working now, gasping. I locked eyes with Harry's pained gaze just before the room dissolved into darkness. The sound of machines filled my ears and an impossible weight pressed down on me. "She's waking up," someone called out nearby. "Call Dr. Parks." My eyes snapped open to the hospital ceiling, and I gasped for air for the first time in weeks. "Laughter," echoed behind my bedroom window as the young ones played tag outside. Warm sunlight filtered through the curtains, painting the room golden. A year ago, Nate and I would have joined them, chasing each other instead of the kids. He'd grow tired of their giggles and turn his attention to me, pulling me into his arms, whispering that he loved me. How could everything fall apart so completely? I stared at my unmade bed, debating whether to crawl back under the covers. I had promised myself strength today, but now that I was awake, I doubted I could muster it. Breaking the soulmate bond had shattered something inside me, rejecting the person fate declared I should love forever. How could I expect to heal from that? A part of me clung to the belief that it was the right decision. The man I once knew, the one who cherished my laughter and held me like I was precious, was gone. That version of Nate would never have hurt Emma the way he did. But when I closed my eyes, all I saw was his hands around her neck, choking her. Then, guiltily, memories surfaced of how tenderly he used to say my name, as though it carried meaning beyond measure. Everything ached body and soul, and I couldn't imagine relief ever coming. My phone beeped again, another message from Nate. I'd sworn not to read them, but his persistence wore me down. If Vivian had knocked on my door earlier, I might have given in entirely. "How are you doing?" she asked, her sharp gaze assessing me. Vivian wasn't known for warmth. She was private, controlled, rarely showing emotion. But over time, I'd come to understand that didn't mean she lacked care. "Harry wishes to see you," she said, her tone leaving no room for refusal. I frowned. Harry knew I wasn't well. If he was summoning me, it had to be urgent. Was something wrong with Emma? Without hesitation, I rose from my chair. "All right." Exiting my bedroom, I found Harry in his office, shuffling papers distractedly. He seemed unaware of my arrival, lost in thought. Knocking politely on his door, I catch Harry's attention. His eyes rise to meet mine, and he offers a tight yet genuine smile. "How are you feeling?" he asks as I step closer, the faint impression that something is off prickling at my senses. Vivian mentioned he wanted to see me. Harry nods, his expression neutral. "Emma's awake," he says simply. The words hit me like a wave of relief. Emma's awake. It feels too good to be true. As though an invisible weight has been lifted from my shoulders. But why does Harry sound so grim? I push the thought aside for now. All I care about is seeing my best friend. "Of course," I reply, clasping my hands together. "Shall we go now?" Harry looks startled for a moment before masking it quickly. "Vivian can drive if you don't feel up to it," he suggests. Confusion flickers through me. Why would Vivian need to drive me instead of him? And why is he avoiding my gaze? "Can't we go together?" I ask. Surely Harry would want to see Emma too. I've seen how terrified he was when she nearly disappeared after protecting me from Nate. "Harry," I insist, snapping him out of whatever distant thought had claimed him. "You're coming with me." "Right." A flash of pain crosses his face before he squares his shoulders and replies in a stern tone. "I don't think I can make the time right now, Chloe." "What?" He can't make the time. How could he possibly not have time for Emma? She must be scared and lonely. I know Harry's busy, but this isn't like him. Harry, it doesn't matter what stupid fight you two got into, okay? She's going through a tough time right now, and I know you care. Harry flinches and suddenly, everything clicks into place. That strange feeling since walking into his office, it wasn't just the situation, it's him. His face is pale, clammy, almost feverish. His eyes lack their usual spark, and there's a faint tremor in his hands. What's wrong? I demand, annoyance melting into concern. Are you ill? The question feels absurd even as I say it. We werewolves don't get sick. Ever. Health is one of our greatest advantages, extending to near instant recovery from injuries. The only thing that makes us unwell is, oh my God, I breathe, realization slamming into me. I recognize Harry's symptoms. They mirror what I've endured since severing my bond with Nate. Bond withdrawal. You and Emma are mates, I state, though I already know the truth. He sighs, looking away. Not anymore. I rejected our bond. I'm stunned silent for a moment. How could he do something so reckless? Why would you? It was preventing her from waking up. Harry snaps, then deflates, his shoulders sagging. And besides, it's for the best. She's human. It wouldn't have worked. You can't know that, I counter sharply. She makes you happy, Harry, I can tell. She makes me happy, he repeats bitterly, glaring at me with an intensity I'm unused to receiving. And I'm supposed to risk her life because she makes me happy. His words hang between us, heavy and raw. Bonds between wolves are incredibly intense, often straining at times. When Nate and I first got together, he locked me in his room and made love to me for days on end, a rhythm I kept up with because I'm not human. I imagine this would be more difficult for Emma. I mean, you could practice some restraint, I tell him, avoiding his gaze. This is an awkward topic to discuss with someone who's essentially like an older brother to me. I'm talking about the fact that living amongst us would almost guarantee her getting bitten at some point. Harry scoffs, giving me a stern look. A bite is nearly always fatal to humans. The realization hits me, tightening my chest with sorrow. It would indeed be very risky for Emma to be bonded to Harry. I know Harry's mother had been human, which meant he grew up away from her. He barely saw her as a child, and she died when he was still young, never having fully recovered from giving birth to him. That can't be easy for him to live with, especially knowing how his father never recovered from her loss. But what about you? I press. Breaking a bond is painful, Harry should know. I'm fine, Harry assures me with a confident smile, though it falters due to how exhausted he looks. If anybody asks, you'll say I'm doing just fine, Harry commands in a tone that leaves no room for discussion. You mean if Emma asks? I clarify with a frown, knowing I'll have to comply. This isn't a friend asking for a favor, this is my alpha giving me an explicit order. I may not like it, but I can't refuse. Harry gestures toward the door, dismissing me. Go see her, he says, not unkindly. It would do you both good to have a friend right now. I leave to gather my things and drive to the hospital shortly after. Emma's doctors won't let me see her until 3 days later. I've waited impatiently for this visit, but now, standing by her door in a brightly lit hospital hall, I'm too nervous to knock. I haven't seen her physically since the accident. She's probably badly hurt, and I know it's going to devastate me to see her like this. Not only that, but will she even want to speak to me? It's essentially my fault she's here. While it was easy to forget how badly she was injured when she was a ghost, she must have awakened to a world of pain, a cruel reminder of the accident she'd been in, an accident I'd unwillingly caused by becoming her friend. If I'd stayed away, Nate wouldn't have hurt her. But this isn't about me, it's about Emma. I have to be there for her, despite the guilt and shame I feel. I briefly knock before entering her room, which is painted a cheerless shade of beige that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. The constant hum of machinery makes the atmosphere one of the most depressing to wake up to. Amidst it all is Emma, propped up in a seated position. Positioned beside her in the cleanable bed, she's hooked up to a multitude of machines. What stands out most is how bruised and swollen her face is. Her expression holds a fragile hopefulness that quickly fades when she recognizes me. "Chloe," she exclaims in surprise. "Hey, I say," my voice a little tight. I move closer, noticing how her eyes keep drifting to the door as if expecting someone else. "I'm so happy you're finally awake. How are you doing?" I ask, squeezing her hand gently. Emma shrugs but winces in pain from the movement. Oh, not too bad. Tone light. Well, apart from the food. That stuff is truly awful hospital food. I can't help but wince at her attempt to be brave despite everything. Emma, look. I just want to say. Her eyes widen in panic, and she cuts me off before I can continue. You wouldn't believe what they gave me for lunch, she says. It was practically a crime against humanity. Take this gray slime, for example. She gestures vaguely toward her tray. I've been naming the dishes based on their potential threat level to human life. Emma, stop, I plead, gripping her hand a little tighter. You're doing that thing again where you make bad jokes instead of talking about your feelings. She laughs softly, rolling her eyes. She's used to me seeing through her tough girl act. Emma is tough, no doubt, but it's not because she avoids her feelings that she doesn't have them. For a moment, she hesitates, then squares her shoulders and looks at me straight in the eyes. Where is he? She asks, her voice uncharacteristically vulnerable. Is he okay? It's obvious who she's asking about, but I'm still surprised. The thing about Emma is that she's been on her own since she was very young. Self-preservation instincts define nearly every decision she makes. So for her to be so openly concerned about Harry, when I know for a fact she would have been solely focused on herself only a month ago, is astonishing. I want to tell her the truth, but Harry specifically asked me not to. It's not that I can't disobey my alpha, it's that I trust him to know what's best. If he thinks Emma should stay away from our world, despite how much he cares for her, then he's probably right. I don't want to see my friend get hurt or worse any more than he does. He's fine, I assure her with the most confident smile I can muster. Don't worry about him. Emma gives me a considering glance before sighing in relief. Her gaze immediately flicks back to the door, hope blooming across her features. It makes me uncomfortable. Of course she expects him to visit if he's well enough. And I can't lie and say he doesn't want to. When I tell her, her expression crumples. My heart squeezes painfully at the crestfallen look on her face. It's better if he doesn't come during your recovery, I explain carefully. Emma's eyes darken with suspicion. I thought you said he was doing fine. He is, I reply, lying through my teeth. It's just a precaution, remember. The healer who came to see me before suggested it. Emma's brows furrow in worry. And what about you? She asks, genuinely concerned. How am I doing? I would like nothing more than to rely on my friend's strength to help me navigate my pain. But Emma doesn't need me to burden her with my issues, not when she's lying in a hospital bed. I'm always burdening people with my problems. I'm okay. I begin, immediately receiving an unconvinced glare for my efforts. For real, Chloe. Talk to me, Emma insists, making me smile. She might not be the most approachable person, but once you've earned her trust, Emma is easily one of the most loyal friends I know. It's been difficult, I confess, though I instantly feel embarrassed at the admission. How can the fact that I miss him not feel like a betrayal to a human who will never fully understand what a soulmate bond feels like? Still, she looks at me now with nothing but understanding. You can talk about him, you know, she says softly before adding jokingly, I'll keep the insults to myself. I promise. I know she means it too. But she can't even begin to understand what it's like being torn from your mate. I feel incomplete, numb one moment and racked with anxiety the next, like I've lost a limb whose absence haunts me every waking moment to the point of physical pain. Mostly there's an all-encompassing sadness that can easily feel like dread, the absolute certainty that I won't make it without Nate. She wouldn't understand. And what's more, she'd worry about Harry, and with good reason. It's been difficult, but I'll be fine, I tell her, except I don't know if that's true. In the following weeks, I keep visiting Emma at the hospital almost every day. Despite her recovery being slow, frustrating her to no end, she is making good progress. The doctors expect her to be able to go home in about another month. Being around her helps me stay motivated, giving me the strength I need to keep away from Nate. I still miss him to the point of physical pain, but I'm feeling braver and more assured with my decision than ever. I can't go back to him after what he's done. He's changed, and I have to accept that. If only it didn't feel like it was all my fault, as if the bond wasn't what had corrupted him. Emma keeps assuring me it isn't, but I have trouble believing her. If anything, it only revealed who he always was, she tells me, seemingly convinced. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. Was I a fool for ever loving him so deeply? At home, things have been difficult, especially for those of us in the inner circle who know about Harry's bonding sickness. With him being too unwell to keep up with his usual duties, we all try to cover for him, though it's not always easy. None of us are alphas with the same effortless authority he has, but there's no other choice not when Harry's looking increasingly worse every day. His face is downright ashen now, with bluish bags under his eyes and moments of. The absence is palpable, as if he doesn't even notice we exist. It's becoming harder to shield this from Emma, who spends nearly every moment trying more or less subtly to get me to open up about Harry. Guilt weighs heavily on me. What am I supposed to say? That he barely eats and spends his days wincing in pain when he thinks no one is watching. I don't understand why he's like this. Vivienne mentions it to the healer who visits us. Chloe isn't faring much better than him, she says, though it's true I'm not exactly thriving either. But compared to Harry, I might as well be glowing with health. The heart wants what it wants, the healer replies cryptically after hearing our concerns. From what you've told me, Chloe's mate was a threat to her and those she cared for. She may still love him, but her resolve was clear when she severed their bond. She doesn't need to elaborate, her meaning hangs heavy in the air. It's different for Harry because, despite his desire to protect Emma by staying away, his yearning for her presence remains undeniable. That's it, I feel resolved. He's going to rekindle their bond whether he likes it or not. Don't try to stop me, I warn, glaring pointedly at Vivienne. No, Chloe, she interjects, for exasperation coloring her tone. You know how stubborn he can be, but you also know how much he respects you. You're like a sister to him, and Emma trusts you. He'll listen to you. For a moment, I'm stunned into silence. I expected resistance, arguments, anything but agreement. Before she can I hurry toward Harry's room. When I step inside, he's slumped on the couch, eyes half closed, looking utterly defeated. Harry, you can't keep doing this to yourself, I say desperately, kneeling beside him. It's destroying you. Slowly, painfully slowly, he turns to face me, his gaze distant and unfocused. Does he even hear me? We're visiting Emma, I declare firmly, gripping his arm to anchor his attention. And you're accepting her as your mate. Then and only then you'll start getting better. Okay. His response is an unintelligible murmur before his eyes flutter shut again, head lolling weakly to the side. Fear spikes through me. I shake him repeatedly, begging him to wake up, but there's no response. Noticing his chest rising faintly, I check his pulse out of instinct. Thankfully, he's alive but barely holding on. There's only one thing left to do now. As I rush downstairs, I run into Vivienne. Her eyes widen as I shout over my shoulder, I'm bringing Emma. She nods silently, watching as I sprint to my car. Fumbling with the keys, I unlock the door and prepare to climb inside when a voice stops me cold. Hey, baby. That voice that's haunted my dreams since the day I shattered my soulmate bond. Once, it filled me with warmth and joy, whispering sweet promises I cherished. Later, it became a harbinger of hurt, dripping with icy anger. My breath catches as I turn, finding Nate standing there. Seeing him again feels like a physical blow. Yet my body screams at me to go to him. My throat tightens, mind blank, heart pounding wildly as he steps closer, his expression unreadable. His dashing smile, the kind that makes me go weak, sends a shiver through me. His hazel eyes are warm with love as he says, "Come here," opening his arms wide. The next thing I know, I'm sagged against him, breathing him in like it's the only thing keeping me upright. Maybe it is. He moves with purpose, marking me with vigor, running his hands over my skin, lingering at my neck to reclaim me as his. I should feel annoyed, but all I feel is joy. Yet, in the back of my mind, the image of Harry's pale, fragile skin lingers. Soon enough, guilt crashes over me, and I push Nate away, fumbling toward my car. I have to go, I say, voice trembling. I can't do this now. I expect anger, but instead his expression softens, concern flooding his features. What's wrong, baby? Tell me, and I'll help you. There's no time. I grab his hand, pulling him along. We'll talk on the way. Come on. Nate follows, confusion across his handsome face. Harry is sick, I explain, unlocking the car door. We have to get Emma. Nate freezes, his expression going oddly blank. Sick, he repeats. Yes, I insist, tugging on his hand. Emma's his mate, and they've been apart for too long. Nate's frown shifts into a slow, unsettling smile, his eyes sparking with interest. Well, Seems like the tables have turned, he smirks, pulling me against him. I struggle to break free, panic rising. Nate, we need to go now. If we don't get Emma, Harry could die. He leans back slightly, feigning relief before adding coldly, "Oh, we wouldn't want that." Then, under his breath, he mutters, "Not when I could kill him myself." My blood runs cold. "What did you just say?" I demand, searching his face. But Nate looks deadly serious, more resolute than ever. My body trembles as the horrifying truth sinks, and he means it. "Don't look at me like that, baby," he murmurs, brushing tears from my cheek. "You'll see this is for the best. He's kept us apart, banished me from our pack, from you. He had it coming. You can't blame me for wanting to live without him standing in our way." "I can't let you," I stammer weakly, ashamed of how small my voice sounds. "You won't have a choice," Nate interrupts, his tone hardening as impatience begins to shadow his once loving gaze. "If I officially challenge him as alpha, the others will side with me. And you." His words trail off as he notices my crumbling resolve. "You only have yourself to blame, baby. You let him convince you to break our bond, knowing what it would do to me. Can't you see? It's killing me being apart from you." I stare at him, his crazed determination clashing with the memory of Harry's ashen face as he collapsed in front of me. Suddenly, hot, righteous anger burns through my anguish. "What I see," I spit, wrenching myself free, "is that while Harry can barely stay awake, you're strong enough to plot cruelty." This only makes Nate laugh, excitement gleaming in his eyes. "Oh, now, that is the fire I've missed." "This I have to see," he says, grabbing me again and pulling me after him. Our almighty alpha reduced to a useless lump, all because of some dumb human. "I won't let you hurt him," I protest, pulling on his hold to keep him in my place. Though without success. Nate twists my arm, making me gasp in pain, and pulls me toward him. "You will, though," he tells me. "Want to know why? Because if you do, I'll spare his precious little pet." "How's that?" I gape at him, astonished at the horror of his mouth, a mouth which used to kiss me so tenderly. "Get. Stand by me and Emma lives. Go against me and I'll kill her and make Harry watch. And then I'll kill him too." Nate whispers before pulling me into an angry kiss that makes me sick to my stomach. My eyes remain wide open in horror as I let him do what he wants to me, hoping it will somehow appease him. I have to do something. My gaze falls onto the tree line of the woods, and there, behind a trunk, is a small brunette gaping at me in horror max. She must have heard the whole thing. I've never been so ashamed in my entire life. There's nothing like a child's innocent gaze growing scared to make you realize how dire a situation is. But then Max's expression grows cold and determined. She gives me a little nod before dropping to the ground and transforming into her wolf form. I can only watch as she disappears into the woods. I don't know why I missed physical sensations when I was a ghost. I've been experiencing a world of hurt ever since getting my body back. The doctors have been throwing around terms like miraculous recovery and lucky to be alive, but honestly, every part of me aches in a way that feels the opposite of lucky. And I'm not just talking about my physical injuries. Chloe comes to see me most days, and I've never felt more grateful for having a friend. Without her, I would have broken down a long time ago. But the fact that it's been a month now since I've seen or spoken with Harry is slowly driving me insane. They say time heals all wounds. Well, this wound is healing much slower than the ones I got from getting hit by a car. I'm pretty sure it has only grown every minute of every day we've been apart. I get that he doesn't want to be with me, okay. And I get that rejecting our bond was difficult for him because he's a wolf, and I know firsthand how busy he is. But don't I deserve at least a visit or a quick call? Heck, I'll take a text or even a simple like on one of my Instagram posts, but I get nothing. Well, if he thinks he's getting rid of me that easily, he's got another thing coming. First, I'm going to get physically better. And then I'll show up at his place and remind him how great of a friend I am. Yeah, we can totally be friends. I wonder what Chloe will think about that. I'm going to ask her later when she comes over. She mentioned in passing, though I'd taken good note of it, that Harry didn't much like the idea of humans hanging around the pack because he deemed it too dangerous for them. The idea of a werewolf bite being fatal to humans feels exaggerated. Surely, he could meet me away from the pack. He wouldn't count himself among the danger, surely. He wouldn't bite me. I need to discuss this with Chloe more. But it's already late afternoon, and there's still no sign of her. This isn't like her at all. She's usually quick to respond, always so reliable. Did something happen? Is she okay? What if she got hit by a car? Accidents don't only happen to other people. But as her silence stretches on, a darker thought worms its way into my mind. What if Nate had something to do with her absence? The more I consider it, the more certain I become that he's behind this. I have to get out of here and find Chloe before I lose my mind. Something is wrong, I can feel it. I manage to get up from the bed and make it halfway across the room before realizing two things. My doctor would never discharge me right now. And I'm already dizzy from just this short movement. Frustration bubbles inside me, threatening to spill over. Chloe's in trouble and I'm stuck here, useless. I sink to the floor, despair washing over me. What can I possibly do? Wait, what's that noise? There's a commotion in the hallway. Nurses are shouting, and I hear the crash of a cart being knocked over. Before I can process what's happening, the door bursts open, revealing a small wolf with pitch-black fur. Its eyes lock onto mine, and I know immediately this isn't an ordinary wolf. It's too alert, too intelligent. And I've seen it before. It's one of the kids from Harry's pack. "Hello, Max," I say aloud, recognizing her instantly. She seems pleased for a moment, though not for long, because a nurse rushes in after her, looking panicked. "Emma, what are you doing on the ground?" the nurse exclaims, spotting me out of bed. "Sorry about the dog," I quickly interject, trying to defuse the situation. "Oh no, we can't have animals in here," the nurse protests, moving toward Max. "She's mine," I blurt out without thinking. The nurse looks surprised. "That's why she ran in here then," the nurse mutters, clearly annoyed. "But we don't allow pets in the hospital." Summoning my sweetest, most innocent expression, I played, "I'll ask a friend to come pick her up soon. Can she stay just a little longer? I haven't seen her in ages and she's not good with strangers." The nurse reluctantly agrees and leaves us alone. As soon as the door shuts, I turn to Max, expecting black fur and sharp teeth. Instead, I'm met with the silhouette of a decent-year-old girl who's very much naked. "Max, what are you doing here?" I hiss, grabbing an extra nightgown and tossing it to her. Did something happen? If she's surprised that I know her name, she doesn't show it. Instead, she tilts her head and studies me critically. "So you're Emma," she says finally. "I thought you'd be prettier." For a second, I'm too stunned to reply. "Excuse me," I sputter, indignant. I protest, feeling vexed. Max shrugs, indifferent to my plight. "Whatever. We need to get out of here," she tells me, pulling at my arm. She's got a strong grip for a kid, but that's not enough to get me out of bed. "I can't walk," I explain when she gives me a furious look. "Car accident, remember?" "But you have to come," Max growls, pulling at my arm again. I'm worried she's going to pull my shoulder out of its socket. "Believe me, kid, I'd like nothing more than getting out of here. The food's horrible, but 3 steps out of bed is all I can do right now." "Hey, don't blame me. Blame Nate," I add as Max looks more and more ready to smack me. At the mention of that name, her expression sobers. "That's why you have to come," she insists. "Because of Nate." I suddenly remember what had been distressing me before Max's arrival. "Did he do something to Chloe?" I ask, my heartbeat quickening. Max's expression is all the answer I need. I knew it. That's why she hasn't been visiting me. He's keeping her prisoner at home. "Nate says he's going to kill everyone because he loves her," Max explains. "He's going to kill everyone out of love." The dude's even crazier than I thought. Chloe must be devastated. "Harry will stop him," I tell her reassuringly. "It's going to be—" I interrupt myself when I see Max shaking her head vehemently. "Harry can't stop Nate. He's sleeping." I'm confused again. "Wake him up then," I scoff, shrugging my shoulders. "Sleeping at a time like this? Seriously. Harry." I'm suddenly on the receiving end of the most disdainful look I've ever seen in my life. "What do you think I'm here for, stupid?" the girl says, crossing her arms. "I need you to come with me to do just that." A lot of questions erupt into my mind, quickly replaced by a sharp sense of dread. "You need me to wake him?" I ask, fearing the answer. Max nods emphatically, and my stomach plummets like it's made of lead. "He's sick, isn't he?" I close my eyes anxiously, because of the bond. "But Chloe said she lied to me." "You really are an idiot," Max grunts, interrupting my panicked musings. "Harry is Chloe's alpha, remember. Whatever he says goes." My eyes snap open, distress suddenly replaced with white-hot anger. You mean he told her to lay? Beyond furious. Lying, controlling jerk. How dare he try to nobly hide his suffering from me? I'm going to kill him, I shriek, getting out of bed. I make it 5 steps before falling onto the ground. That was sad, man, Max says with a small frown. I glance at her as I try to get back on my feet to no avail. Little help here. Max manages to pull me up, but it quickly becomes apparent that despite her enhanced strength, there's simply no way for us to sneak out of the hospital unnoticed. I'll ask my doctors to release me, at least for a little while, I stammer out loud, desperately trying to convince myself they might let me go. Right, they'll understand. Yeah. Even if they did let you out, Max says unimpressed. There's no way we can get you past Nate when you can't even walk. I hadn't thought about that. Of course, Nate isn't going to just let me in to see. Harry must know he's sick, which explains the aggressive takeover. He wouldn't dare attempt it if Harry were well, but he isn't, and it's all my fault. I try to hide my despair for Max's sake, but it's becoming harder by the second. My best friend is in danger. Harry's in danger. He's been suffering this whole time and hasn't said a word. I've got it. Max interrupts my thoughts, her expression determined. Before I can ask what she means, she grabs my wrist and raises it toward her mouth. What are you doing, I ask, curious. Turning you, of course, Max replies with a deadpan look. Turning me in two. I thought humans rarely survived the bite. My voice wavers slightly as panic sets in. Yeah, but you will, she shrugs carelessly. You're Harry's mate. It hits me then I've somehow become the only person who can save an entire pack, including the love of my life from a deranged werewolf. And my only ally is a 10-year-old girl. I was told I'd almost certainly die. I remind her, trying to weigh the risks of her plan. If by some miracle, I survived the bite and became a wolf, I'd heal quickly, escape this place, wake Harry, and together we could stop Nate. But the odds feel impossibly low. I'm probably going to die. I think I'm hyperventilating. I'm definitely going to die, aren't I? There's no way this can work. But if we don't try, Max pleads, her eyes wide and desperate. If we don't get you back home, Harry's going to die, and Nate will take over. My heart clenches painfully at the thought. No, I can't let that happen. Do it, I tell her, offering my arm. She stares at me, surprised, as though she didn't expect me to agree so readily. Really? I nod. When it comes down to it, there's no other choice. It's either this or lose Harry. There's no way I'll sit back and let that happen. Max moves closer, her teeth nearing my skin. Will it hurt? I whisper nervously. Like hell, she replies bluntly, and then her teeth sink into my flesh. A wave of agony crashes over me unlike anything I've ever known, and everything goes black. When I come to, I immediately sense something is different even before opening my eyes. The world assaults me, sounds of footsteps, voices, machines, all amplified to an unbearable degree. My head feels like it might explode. But that's nothing compared to the torrent of smells overwhelming me, each one sharp and nauseating. I open my eyes and bolt upright without thinking about my injuries, but there's no pain. My bones don't ache, my limbs don't strain. Wow, Max says, standing taller than before. I can't believe that worked. I want to snap at her that this was all her idea, but instead of words, a low growl escapes me. That's when it hits me. Instead of hands, I now have paws. Calm down, Max says, raising her hands soothingly. She steps closer and gives me a gentle pat on the head. Normally I'd hate it, but right now the contact oddly comforts me. She smells young and fresh. Like dewy grass bathed in sunlight, something full of hope and precious that needs to be protected. I can't explain why it feels that way, it just does. Let's go, Max says, motioning me toward the door. I'll say you're my dog. Come on. We do get a couple of strange looks on our way out of the hospital, and Max receives a comment or two about animals being prohibited, but a low growl from me always does the trick at getting people off our backs. Soon enough, we're in the parking lot outside. I can't believe that worked. I can't believe turning me into a wolf worked. I can't believe I'm walking on 4 different legs. I'll turn back once we get to the woods so we can run home, Max tells me with the first childlike grin I've seen her make since arriving earlier. It'll be quicker like that. You'll see you're going to be able to run super fast. I make no objections and follow her until we're hidden from view amongst the trees. without another soul in sight. Once Max transforms, we begin to run across the forest with a speed I've never achieved before in my life. As I weave through trees, I hear the faint rustling of leaves and the whisper of the wind as it dances through the branches while detecting the earthy musk of the soil beneath my feet. The scent of pine needles and the distant fragrance of a nearby stream fills the air. Every blade of grass, every fallen leaf, and every twist in the path seems etched into my vision. It's too much. Suddenly, a new wave of nausea hits me, and I'm forced to interrupt my run. Everything's becoming blurry. Max is beside me in an instant, nuzzling my neck. It's comforting, especially as this helps me focus on her youthful smell. I don't know how, but her voice whispers in my head, "You'll turn back when we reach the house. It won't feel as overwhelming when you're human again." A sense of urgency laces her comforting words, and a new swell of protectiveness surges within me. Soon enough, we reach Harry's house, which I discern beyond the trees. Max leads me to a small shack near the house before letting me know it's now time for me to be human again. I'm unsure how to proceed, but find that it comes naturally to me, though naturally doesn't mean smoothly or without pain. Is it always this horrible? I groan, standing up on two shaky human limbs. Max shrugs. I take it as a yes. "Here," she tells me, opening a cupboard. "We keep a stash of clones here for those who don't like walking inside the house naked when they get back from the forest." I grab a matching pair of black leggings and a tank top. Quickly putting everything on, I have trouble executing even that simple task. My fingers are shaking, and a sharp pain begins to grow behind my eyes, but that's nothing compared to the sudden sense of loneliness that surges within me, choking me like a punch to the stomach. "Are you okay?" Max asks, giving me a somewhat concerned look. "You've gone really pale." "I'm not sure," I reply, grinding my teeth. I begin to cry, wondering if it all was. It feels surreal to turn back. Max is watching me as if I'm some kind of strange science experiment, a mix of fascination and detachment in her gaze. Suddenly, she exclaims, "It's because of your broken bond. Now that you're a wolf too, you can feel it." I groan, fighting back another wave of nausea. Does this mean Harry's been feeling like this for months? Well, at first he seemed somewhat uncomfortable, Max tells me with a wince, but it got worse with time. Worse than this. I feel awful. There's a weight on my chest that convinces me I'll never inhale enough oxygen again, and a sense of pure dread envelops my mind. Only the thought of Harry brings me any relief, because the sharp pain coursing through me has found its source. Being away from him hurts every inch of my body. My mind becomes consumed by one single need, to be near him. "Where are you going?" Max grabs my arm. "You can't just barge in there. Nate will stop you." I take a breath, trying to steady myself. She's right. We haven't come this far to fail now when we're so close. I want to ask Max questions, strategize, but instead the words tumbling out of my mouth are, "Max, if I don't find Harry right this second, I will die." She rolls her eyes at me, unimpressed. "No, you won't. It took him a month to be near death. You have at least a good hour." The thought of Harry enduring such agony for an entire month stops me from smacking her in frustration. "I'll create a distraction downstairs while you climb up into his room," Max decides. "You know where it is, right?" I hesitate, frowning. "Yes, but Max, from what you've told me, Nate's unhinged. I can't just let you." She looks at me like I'm an idiot again. "I can handle Nate. Go." Seeing me still hesitate, she adds, "Look, the sooner Harry wakes up to stop him, the better. Seriously, go." I take one last look at her, impressed by how brave she is for a kid, and head toward the back of the house under Harry's bedroom window. The night air grows crisp as the sun sets. I lift my gaze to the third-floor window of Harry's room, where Nate's commanding snarl echoes across the grounds. There's no time to waste. For a human, the climb would be daunting, perilous even. But I guess I'm not human anymore, am I? Taking a deep breath, I step toward the house, my fingers finding purchase on the rough texture of the bricks as I begin my ascent. The world narrows to the sounds of the night, the distant calls of nocturnal creatures, the gentle rustling of leaves, and the muffled sounds of confrontation below. Bricks wobble under my grasp, and ivy tears away unexpectedly. My breath catches, adrenaline surging, but each handhold and foothold brings me closer to Harry. My resolve does not waver. With newfound strength, I burst inside his bedroom faster than I expected, landing on the floor with a mix of bewilderment at having succeeded and fear at what's about to unfold. Until I'm enveloped by an intoxicating woodsy scent that immediately short-circuits every rational thought in my brain. Notes of the wild forest after a storm, the clean, sharp tang of rain on leaves, and something deeper and elemental musk that speaks directly to the primal part of my mind consume me. I grow dizzy, though not from pain as before. It's more like an exquisite sort of high, seductive and all-consuming, leaving me breathless. I might have forgotten the urgency of the situation if stepping closer toward its source hadn't revealed the sterile tang of sickness weakening the otherwise captivating aroma. My eyes fall onto Harry, motionless on his bed. Memories fled back of watching him while I was a ghost. He'd always seemed so peaceful in sleep, bathed beautifully in moonlight. But now his slumber feels unnatural. Beyond his pale skin and labored breathing lies a pained expression, suggesting endurance rather than rest. Troubled, I hurry to his side, burying my nose in his neck. A torrent of contrasting emotions overwhelms me as I grasp his hand. There's joy at finally being near him, able to touch him, but also pain his and mine intertwined. "Wake up, please wake up, Harry," I sob into his skin, shaking him desperately, to no avail. I've come this far only to realize I'm utterly powerless. Harry broke our bond, and he alone must repair it. But how can he when he doesn't even seem aware of my presence? Desperation fills my heart as I feel him slipping away. I know I'll follow soon after, yet I try to make peace with seeing him one last time. Bringing our foreheads together, I wish fervently to take his pain away, replacing it with only my love for him. The longing becomes so intense it starts feeling real, a sharp pain that isn't mine mingles with heartbreaking loneliness, pouring into my skin, choking on my... I open my eyes to find myself in the same room where Harry and I shared our first kiss, in our dream space or whatever it is. Confusion clouds my thoughts until my gaze settles on Harry awake. My heart skips a beat meeting his eyes again. It feels too good to be true. "Emma," he murmured, dazed and confused, but hearing his voice sends a shiver down my spine. Grabbing his face, I implore him. "You've got to rekindle our bond." His gray eyes dull as he shakes his head. "No, Emma, I can't risk your life. Harry, please, if you don't, you'll die." His fingers tenderly graze my cheek. "I'd rather it be me than you," he says softly, smiling. My breath catches as I throw my arms around him. In this moment, I want to assure him everything will be fine, declare my undying love, and shake him in anger all at once. Yet here, in this space, I feel the full weight of his conflicting emotions, his worry, his resolve to protect me. He's afraid for me, I realize. "You don't have to worry anymore," I tell him, throwing my arms around his neck. Max turned me, I'll be safe. But I realize he doesn't seem to understand what I'm telling him. There's only fierce determination to keep me safe in his mind, fear and guilt. I try to focus on that guilt, which seems important. What could he be feeling guilty about? I hold on to the thought with as much strength as I can, despite how terrible it makes me feel, for it's like my own now. Something around us shifts. Our surroundings mend with those of another bedroom, one that looks nothing like the one we'd been in. I shift my gaze from Harry with some difficulty to stare at the bed where a figure lies, a blonde woman I've never seen but who has Harry's eyes. "Is this your mom?" I ask. He doesn't have to reply, I know it is. She looks pale and thin, obviously sick. Her eyes are empty and lost. I don't understand why she isn't recovering. A voice I don't recognize echoes in my mind. "You'd said she'd be fine if she got through the birth." "Humans don't normally conceive shifter children," another voice replies. This one I do recognize. It sounds like the healer who'd come to check on Chloe. "She lost a lot of strength delivering the child, and her health never fully recovered." My heart sinks. Besides the healer's words, it's not just a physical matter. For a mother to be kept away from her child like that. "What are you saying?" the man asks. "I'm saying that her mind is just as broken as her body. It's given up." Tears begin to stream down my face as I experience Harry's guilt upon hearing those words when he'd been no more than a child, as intensely as if it were my own. "Harry, it wasn't your fault. You didn't kill your mother, okay?" I tell him, taking his face into my hands, though he won't meet my gaze. "If anything, what killed her was being away from you. Just like it would kill me to lose you." I despair when loneliness and sorrow only fill my mind more. His emotions are so raw it's difficult to bear them. How can I reach him? But then I realize that if I can feel his emotions, then maybe that means he can feel mine in return. So instead of telling him, I try to pour all of my fear and need into our bond how afraid I am for him, just as terrified of losing him as he is of losing me. How much in such a short time. I've come to need him to feel whole how much I love him. Hesitation, hope, and then something akin to adoration ebb and flow across his features. Do it, I insist. Pulling him toward me. Do it now, Harry. I'm afraid I'm too late. I feel myself being torn away as his next words echo from further and further away. But then something clicks into place. Back inside his bedroom, I blink awake to the press of his body underneath mine. Though all of that feels secondary now that a sort of dual consciousness is awakening within me, Harry's very soul blooming against mine, while he slowly comes back to his senses. His eyes flutter open, dazed and heavy with sleep, for a second before settling on me. You're awake, I sigh tearfully in relief. There's the soft look on his face I've come to adore, but then his pupils dilate and his eyes turn gold. Harry, I ask somewhat nervously, feeling alarmingly like prey about to be consumed. Are you all right? In one swift movement, Harry topples me down on his bed, pinning my arms above my head. I stare at him in shock, my mind going pleasantly blank as I try to wiggle out of his grasp, only to find myself restrained by his hold. He looks angry to the point where I should probably be terrified, except there's a reason why I always enjoyed taunting him. His anger always made me feel like the center of his universe, if only for brief, addictive moments, though it never did so as intensely as it does now. His emotions echo in the back of my mind, and his scent spikes up in a way that makes me want to pull him against me. I can't, though, being restrained and all. So I end up emitting an embarrassingly needy whine instead, which seems to make Harry go completely insane. The next thing I know, he's sinking his teeth into my neck, and my body surges with a pleasure so intense everything goes black for a second. I think I might have screamed, although I'm not sure. It's too much. I'm shaking with want, needing more but unable to breathe or move, let alone conjure any words to ask for it. Harry understands me perfectly, though. He's nipping at my bruised skin with ferocity, emitting low growls that sound nothing human. We don't speak, but his voice rings in my head nonetheless, a litany of possessive thoughts mixed with crazed desire. But mostly, there is an all-encompassing love that brings me to tears. When Harry captures my lips in a soaring, breathtaking kiss, my hands pull at his hair while his roam all over my body. Our eyes meet, and Harry suddenly pulls away to stare at me in horror. Who turned you? He growls, sounding absolutely murderous. His words take a second to compute because my mind is more focused on the offensive fact that he stopped kissing me. What? Who cares? I exclaim, registering the angry snarl twisting his features. Did you like me better before? I ask, feeling very insecure. Harry's emotions feel wild and aggressive against my own more fragile ones. Trying to make sense of them makes me dizzy, though possessiveness seems to outweigh the rest. Consuming in its intensity, he's now running his wrists along different parts of my body, jaw clenched. What are you doing? I ask in a small voice. I realize his scent is enveloping me, clouding my mind pleasantly. I feel warm, safe, and loved, but the tense scowl twisting his features troubles me. I try to catch his attention by grabbing onto his hand, but he pins my arms back down with a low growl. Don't test me right now, sweetheart, he groans, voice strained. I don't even have to think twice about baring my neck to him to give him better access. It just happens, like somebody else has taken control of my body. Harry's posture relaxes remarkably at the gesture, satisfaction radiating through our bond at my compliance. Sorry, he mumbles after a short while. Obviously trying to get his labored breathing under control must be scaring you. I'm sorry, Emma, he murmurs, his forehead sagging against my shoulder where he remains still, breathing me in. I run my fingers through his hair. I don't mind, I confess, more shy than I'd like. I like wearing your scent. It feels. I want to say good, but the word seems both too bold and like an understatement. His contentment pours so strongly through our bond, though, that I can't help but add. You can do whatever you want to me, you know. I'm yours. Harry's sharp pleasure surges through our connection, leaving me breathless. Please don't say things like that, darling. I'm trying to be good, he complains, pulling me back into another demanding kiss. I'm losing myself in the feel of his lips against mine, his body against mine, his very soul against mine. I only realize my fingers have begun to transform when the metallic tinge of blood erupts into the air after I raked my nails across his back. I freeze shocked. I'm sorry, I exclaim, eyes going wide. Harry, I'm so sorry for hurting me. He cuts me off, looking affronted. If anyone should feel sorry here, it's me. You should never have accepted the turn, Emma. You could have died, he scolds, though softly caressing my cheek at the same time. The guy who was practically catatonic when I arrived. I scoff, hitting his arm lightly. You didn't answer me before. Hey, I prod, reminding him of something he clearly forgot or chose to ignore. Who did this to you? I'll kill them. I roll my eyes. No, you won't. It was Max. And we both know she's your favorite. Harry looks torn. Why would Max do this? Good question. So that I'm conveniently reminded of all the events that have led me to become a werewolf in the first place, which I'd kind of forgotten about for a minute there. Oh my God, Harry, we don't have time for this, I exclaim, trying to wiggle out of his grasp, which only makes him smirk at my utter failure. You have to go stop Nate. Harry, who's back to nuzzling my neck with renewed intensity, sounds uninterested by this piece of news. Nate, he asks, as if he's forgotten who this is. To be fair, I kind of forget too when I feel his teeth graze my skin. But being the pillar of strength that I am, I manage to refocus after a bit. He wants to kill you. Well, you and everyone else. Or maybe it's just you, I don't know. Max wasn't very clear on that. Anyway, we have to go now. Harry groans as I try to push him off of me. Do we? He asks, sounding incredibly unconvinced. Really? I can't believe I'm being the responsible one here. Yes, really. I explain, running my fingers down his back, which feels smooth the scratches I'd made already healed. Max was terrified he was going to replace you as Alpha. Everybody thinks you're done for, and Nate has gone batshit crazy. Fine, Harry sighs reluctantly, removing himself. Let's make this quick. He grabs my hand and helps me to my feet, pulling me after him, looking the very definition of pissed. Close point of view. Nate is pacing around the living room like a caged animal, his movements erratic and tense. The energy in the room feels suffocating, charged with anger and desperation. Whatever plan he's concocted, it's clear he's not thinking straight. Not anymore. Trapped, the feral beast screams and rants in anger. Though I recognize his features, my mind refuses to connect this monster with the man I once loved. A burning sensation sears my jaw, and a metallic taste fills my mouth. Something drips along my chin. Chlo, are you okay? Max whispers from where she crouches in the corner of the dining room. I want to answer her, but the words won't come. My body is frozen, lifeless still. Around the dining room, every member of our pack sits at the table, warily watching Nate like one would a dangerous criminal. Fear and horror are blatant in all their eyes. It hurts to see so much fear directed at him. I hate that I feel like I've failed him somehow. A part of me still wants to defend him, and it fills me with shame. How many more times do I have to ask? Vivian, Nate slams his hand next to her on the dining table. Get Harry here now. Vivian doesn't flinch, though beside her, Jake begins to growl. He rises to face Nate, forcing him to back away. How many times do we have to tell you? He's not here, Jake says firmly. Nate scowls but knows better than to aggravate Jake further. You can't hide him from me forever. The law is the law, he reminds them calmly. Vivian and Jake exchange one of their pointed looks. Do they have a plan? Is there any way to stop Nate from challenging Harry? It seems too good to be true. As he said, the law is technically on his side. If Nate wants to challenge Harry for his title, then that is his right. What if I leave with you? I ask tentatively. I'll rekindle our bond and we'll leave together. For a moment, I see hesitation flicker in Nate's eyes and hope stirs within me. This is all to win me back, after all. But before I can press further, Jake interferes. We won't let you alone with him, he says, looking tense. Nate snaps, clenching his fists again. They'd never leave us be. His voice is sharp, desperate. I have to become Alpha for us. He turns toward Vivian once more. Stop making excuses, he snorts, baring his teeth. I know he's here, and you can't stop me from fighting him. Well, all right then, a voice interrupts. A heavy silence descends upon the room. Every member of our pack feels Harry's presence before even confirming it with our eyes, an instinctual recognition of leadership. He stands in the doorway, arms crossed. Face impassive, exuding quiet confidence in waves. Nate freezes under Harry's gaze, paling visibly. He shrinks as our alpha's presence fills the room. Demanding submission, instinctively my shoulders hunch along with everyone else's, though a sense of calm washes over me with our compliance. I'm not the only one who now feels safe and resolved. It's as if we are united once more. Harry, Nate stammers, his anger quickly morphing into visible fear. Harry looks perfectly indifferent to his presence. I suppose Nate. The power dynamic is undeniable as Nate's resolve falters under Harry's piercing gaze. I feel a swell of relief that the pack will remain under Harry's protection, but sorrow lingers for Nate and for what our future might hold. If you're not going to fight me, then leave, Harry commands, his voice firm. Nate looks like he's ready to bolt when a small figure steps up beside Harry, petite and clad in black. It takes me a moment to recognize Emma, not just because of the chaos unfolding, but because something about her seems different. Her stance, her movements, they've changed. "Hello," she exclaims when our eyes meet. My breath catches as her usually blue irises flash gold. Shock roots me in place as I take in the absence of injuries on her body, save for a deep purple mark marring her neck. "You Nate," he stammers, anger and disbelief warring in his tone as recognition dawns. Before he can say more, Harry growls, stepping protectively in front of Emma, which only makes her roll her eyes. "Who's that?" Jack whispers to Vivian, who shrugs in confusion. Meanwhile, Max jumps up from his corner. Extending his arms toward Emma, she moves out from behind Harry, reaching for the child, but as she passes Nate, he seizes her by the neck, yanking her back against him. His desperate eyes lock onto mine. "Chilo, rekindle our bond now or I'll—" Emma slams her elbow into his stomach, cutting him off mid-sentence. "Are you serious right now?" She snaps, glaring at him with murderous intent. Grabbing him by the back of the head, she drives another punch into his gut, making him groan. "Harry, no physical violence," Harry protests weakly. "Well, I lied," Emma retorts coldly, beginning to kick Nate while we watch in stunned silence. "Kind of like when you said you'd be fine after breaking your bond, but then nearly died." She sits firmly on Nate's back, locking his arm behind him and pressing his face into the ground. "Oh, that hurts," Nate protests through gritted teeth. "You know what else hurts?" "Getting hit by a car," she fires back. "That wasn't my fault." "Chilo, tell her," he pleads, looking at me. "Leave Clue alone," Emma growls, smashing his head down again. Her fierce defense of me warms my heart, though guilt twists inside me for Nate's predicament. "Let him go, Emma," I plead softly. He meets my gaze with a pained expression before begrudgingly nodding. "Fine," Emma mutters, releasing him but keeping a foot planted firmly on his head. "Anyone else want to punch in before he goes?" Jake immediately raises his hand, followed by Max and eventually Vivian. "You too, Harry?" Emma asks, raising an eyebrow. "He deserves it, guys," I protest weakly, giving her a pleading look. Her frown softens slightly, and after a pause, she lifts her foot. "Fine. No extra punches. Sorry." "Y'all, seriously, who is that girl?" Jake mutters. "She's my mate," Harry replies, pride evident in his voice, earning astonished gasps from those around us. From all over the room, your mate Jake's eyes go wide. "But she's cool and fun, and you're well not." Emma laughs. "I thought you were a human." Vivian asks her curiously about that. Harry turns toward Max and gives her a stern look, beckoning her to come closer. The kid doesn't look very impressed, though. "I'm not sorry," she says, crossing her arms. "I saved your life." She's right, really you should be thanking her. "Wet. So Max turned you?" Nate asks, sounding genuinely curious. "Why are you still here?" "Right." Nate looks slightly hesitant for a moment before turning toward me. "You coming?" He gives me a pleading look, and instinctively, I'm tempted to get up and follow him. But then Emma's worried eyes meet mine, and I end up shaking my head, throat feeling tight. I watch my mate exit the room with his head hanging low. Right before disappearing behind a corner, he glances back at me quickly. Gesturing a number with his hand that means he'll be waiting for me at our spot in the woods later today. I know I shouldn't, but I can't refuse him a goodbye. I nod briefly. I'll be seeing him by evening one last time. I promise myself. 2 months later, terror runs through my veins, choking all the air out of my lungs. "No. No, no," I cry, running my hands over Harry's cold, lifeless body. "Don't leave me, wake up." I desperately try to shake him awake, knowing it's no use. My heart plummets, he's dead. My mate is dead. What am I going to do? Emma, a voice calls to me from far away. Darling. My eyes snap open to reveal Harry's worried frown above me. He's here, alive. Relief floods through me, though my heart still pounds uncomfortably in my chest. It was just a nightmare. Harry pulls me into his arms. You're safe, Emma. I'm here. His worry and guilt flow through our bond, mixing poorly with the despair I'm sure he can feel right back. He runs his fingers through my hair, warm and patient, as I do my best to hold back my tears, face pressed against his bare chest. I can hear the strong beat of his heart, soothing me softly. You're alive, I breathe out in relief after a couple of minutes. I thought Harry slightly tenses against me. You saved me, he firmly reminds me, taking my face into his hands. You don't have to worry about me anymore. He gently kisses my forehead before laying me back down on our bed with careful care. He remains propped up on an elbow, watching me intently while shielding me with his body, which I begin to enjoy feeling against my own, though not yet enough to remove the images of him near death from my mind. I almost lost you, I murmur, soaking in every detail of his face, from the curve of his brows to the sharp edge of his jawline, with the half-formed thought that looking away could mean losing him forever. You're not going to lose me, sweetheart, Harry frowns, bringing my hands to his lips. I'm not going anywhere. You say that. I cut myself off. I was about to remind him that it's been weeks, and yet he's still recuperating from the effects of our previously broken bond. But I know pointing it out would only make him feel worse. Guilty, according to the healer. Our bond needs time to recover. The severance, however brief, has taken a toll on both Harry and me. If it still affects Harry physically, it is mentally that I remain haunted by what transpired. Nightmares have plagued me ever since we reunited, and anxiety consumes me whenever Harry and I are apart for longer than 10 minutes, though that rarely happens now. We spend most of our time together alone, in a perpetual state of undress. I can't get enough of the feel of his skin against mine. It feels almost too damningly good when we're together, making the mere thought of being apart unbearable. Then let's never be apart again, Harry mumbles, nibbling my neck. Intoxicating desire begins to cloud his mind, just as it always does now when we touch for more than a minute or two, a side effect the healer assured us would stabilize in time. Harry presses his body against mine, arousal all the more obvious. I think I need to have you again, Emma, he whispers against my ear, making me shiver. Are you asking for permission? I laugh, wrapping my arms around his shoulders and pulling him into a kiss. He feels guilty because I was crying only moments ago. But all thoughts quickly evaporate under the weight of numbing pleasure his and mine combined. Hours later, when he's fallen back asleep with his arms around me, my thoughts drift to Chloe. Her bravery leaves me now that I understand what a bond feels like. I don't know how she managed to break hers and survive. I don't think I could have done it. I fall asleep to this naive thought, unaware of the terrible revelation that would soon plague our pack. Chloe's struggles with Nate were only beginning. As I lay next to the man I love, hoping we'd finally be safe, she was busy making a life-threatening decision that would affect us all forever. The car pulls up in front of a small manor nestled within large grounds at the very center of the city. It's like a small oasis amidst a desert of concrete. My wolf is slightly appeased by the quieter, more natural haven, though not by much. It knows we're walking right into the lion's den, so to speak. Are you ready? Cromwell asks, extending his hand to help me out of the car. I hesitate for only the briefest moment. Am I crazy for doing this? What will the rest of the pack say? It's best not to think too much about it for now. There's no other choice. This deal is the only solution I could think of to cheat death. If I don't take it, Nate will kill me within the year. Yes, I murmur, taking Cromwell's hand. The vampire pulls a dark cloak over my head. Let's go meet your future husband, he tells me, guiding me toward the house.